And usually, the Democrats, they actually handpick their words.
They do.
They're very much hyper-focused on branding, messaging, and things of that nature. I'm surprised they actually called it an autopsy report.
Yikes.
Why? Because autopsies are only performed on dead things.
Words matter.
So is that saying that the Democrat Party is dead? Or perhaps Kamala Harris's campaign aspirations to be president are dead? I don't know.
I mean, they're burying her. No, I'm doing a pun there. I would think that they don't want her to run again. She has said that she wants to. She's come out in full force. I think in this case with the autopsy, at least they're being, I'll give them a little bit of credit, at least they're being reflective. They're taking some sort of view as to what they did wrong, okay, how to improve, but I don't think it's going to result in very much.
You know what? This was very smart. The light bulb just went off, folks.
Okay.
Wait a minute. How do you stop somebody from running? You issue a report.
On their death.
Right? So that way, donors will read the report and say, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to donate to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
That's a bad investment for 2028. I see what you did there.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right. Join us for Mornings on the Dove.
Good morning. You're tuned to the Dove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
And good morning to you. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We made it. Good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove as we head into the Memorial Day weekend. And our background is a little bit of a reminder of what it's all about.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Arlington Cemetery or to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh, amazing.
I would highly recommend it. It's one of those moments that would kind of like be going to Normandy if you've ever been there.
Or going to the USS Arizona.
Arizona.
Yes.
Those types of things.
Yep.
We have an amazing event right here in our own backyard coming up this weekend with the dedication of the Vietnam Memorial Wall. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. So this is Memorial Day weekend, and hopefully you pay tribute accordingly. Good morning to you. A lot going on in the news. The weather is quite pleasant, on the warm side.
Yeah, a little bit higher than seasonal norms, but...
Backs down a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But not bad. Very, very, very nice. It just kind of finishes off all the greenery.
Yeah.
It's all brownery.
It's that turning time of year, isn't it? Yeah.
So good morning to you. What do you got?
Well, first of all, it's National Maritime Day, recognizing the launch of the maritime industry in the United States, including the Merchant Marines. And I know an ex-Merchant Marine, and this guy went all over the world. The guy's got a grip on geography that, like, nobody I had ever seen before.
Wow.
But, you know, do you get a little stir-crazy on ships all the time, going around the world?
Have you ever gotten motion sickness?
You know, it's a rarity. I've gotten close a couple times, but I've never gotten motion. I have kind of like an iron gut.
Okay.
My heritage is Norwegian Vikings.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, we're used to that kind of thing. But yeah, I've gotten close once, and I was a little kid. That was it.
Well, I as long as I can see out, I can talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
But if I can't see out.
Right, especially if you can see the horizon.
Right.
Yeah, baby.
You know.
Yep.
But I've done aerobatics in airplanes.
Oh.
And I don't like it.
Upchuck maneuvers?
Well, I've done hammerhead stalls. I've done ropes. I've done rolls.
Oh.
I've done these things, and not that I'm not trained in aerobatics. You know, the closest I ever did anything in my day when you were learning how to fly, you had to spin an airplane.
Oh.
They don't teach that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Some people do. They do it anyway, but you'd have to spin and then recover.
All right. Yeah.
But
have you ever had to take anything, to counter motion sickness or anything? Have you ever done any of that stuff?
I've gone up with a couple of guys that know how to do it. I've actually done a loop myself. I've done a roll myself with the guy that knows how to do it. He showed me how to do it, you know, and how you lower your nose and you do the loop, and then you're trying along, and then he said, just do this. And man, we went 2.
Okay.
We rolled it twice because that's how sensitive the airplane was. I go, woo, 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 you know, come out of that. Hammerhead stalls. But I went up in an aerobatic airplane at one of the last air shows they had here.
Really? Yeah.
And I went for a ride, and I was so. We pulled so many negative G's.
Okay. All right.
This plane was made for this.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask. What do they do? Is it all reinforced struts and stuff to make sure the wings don't fall off?
No, this was an aerobatic plane made for very expensive airplane.
Okay.
Made for this. And when we landed, I couldn't get out of the plane. I was.
Oh no!
I have a bad back anyway because it gets worse when you're old. Okay. But I was sitting in the back seat. I had sweated through everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out.
No kidding.
I said, just give me a minute here.
No kidding.
The negative G's just riveted me in the seat. You know? And this guy's laughing and smiling. He said, well, you got to get out because I got to get the next guy in there. So I'm crawling out of the
I love it.
So anyway, have a nice day.
All right. Get in a car.
Get a car.
Yeah, because it's National Road Trip Day.
Okay.
Yes, and it makes sense. Serving as the official kickoff of the summer road trip season, millions of Americans hit the road each year over the long weekend to visit family, friends, and while paying tribute to our American heroes.
There you go.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of road tripping going on. Maybe not as much as normal. I mean, have you...
Well, gas prices.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're going to go, you're not going to go far.
Yeah. I hope we get a handle on this.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's also National Buy a Musical Instrument Day.
Really?
It's a day all about music and the instruments that help you make it, and of course what you're willing to spend to fund that little habit of yours. Yeah.
How many guitars do you have?
You know what? I'm a bass player. I have hanging in one room, I think I have 4 guitars and 4 basses.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not
like
bad.
George Barna.
Huh?
See, when I interviewed George Barna, he has all these basses hanging.
I get distracted on those interviews because
And he
I'm
wears
looking
those
at the
great big
basses.
white earphones.
Yes, and I'm looking at the basses hanging. He's got some nice ones.
I told Dr. Barna, I said, Dr. Barna, we're here to do an interview, not a recording session.
You know what it turns out, though? You know, I have one bass that I play all the time. The others hang on my wall now.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. It's also National Vanilla Pudding Day. Yeah, vanilla pudding. How about that? You know,
I could do that.
You know,
how about vanilla tapioca pudding?
Oh, that's wonderful. And how about the phrase? You know, he's as bland as vanilla pudding.
That's pretty basic.
Yes, but it's good. Yeah. And you know what? There's some things you can do with it, and I really think the parfait idea is a great idea.
Yeah, I like the parfait.
Little layers of vanilla pudding, and put some fruit in between it, maybe a little, maybe a little whipped cream. I don't know. Enjoy that. And if you want to take it with you, because it's National Road Trip Day, you want to take it with you, throw it in your cooler. Okay. Take it with you because it is National Cooler Day, and that's because the first portable ice chest came from a Maryland farmer. Thomas Moore patented what he called the ice box in 1802, and of course what we know is the Coleman cooler. And the Coleman cooler came into existence after 1944 when styrofoam was invented.
Oh. So they just put aluminum around styrofoam.
Yeah, put aluminum around styrofoam, and it took off. And it was Coleman picked up the patent on that, and they marketed it in 1954 as the cooler.
Okay.
Yeah, and it took off, and I think most of us grew up with Coleman coolers.
Yeah, so what's the big one now?
Yeti.
Yeti.
Yeah, yes.
Boy, they have taken a hold on the market.
Oh, boy, have they.
You go into REI and you buy a Yeti, there goes your 401k.
Cha-ching. Yeah. I've been studying luxury brands recently, and I'm trying to figure out, is Yeti a luxury brand or just a premium brand?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a quality brand.
It is. And that's part of the premium aspect is you get higher quality for a higher price, and that's probably Yeti.
Yeah, they're up there. And you know what?
What?
They work.
Yeah.
And the Yeti mug things work too.
Yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
they got a very catchy name, one that's easy for all of us to
There you go.
remember, because we're all wondering, is there really a Yeti?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Okay.
That's it?
That's all I got.
All right, here's Pam's Yeti.
A look at our forecast from Grange Co-op. With high pressure keeping things clear and warm across our region, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, full sunshine with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley from Salem through Albany, Corvallis, and sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s with a calm wind becoming north 5 to 9 miles per hour this morning. Sunshine across central Oregon with temperatures moving into the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and near 78 for Sun River. And sunshine continues over into Boise, Idaho with a high near 81 and low near 50. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny, breezy in upper 60s in Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy from Port Orford through Brookings and Crescent City, California with highs in the mid to upper 60s. Continuing to warm up in southern Oregon with sunshine in upper 80s in Grants Pass, near 90 in Medford and mid 80s around Ashland. Sunny across the Klamath Basin with highs in the low 80s. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the upper 80s for Wairika. Sunny and hot moving south with highs in the upper 90s for Redding and Chico, but patchy fog over in Fort Bragg, then sunny in upper 50s. In the Bay Area, patchy fog in Santa Rosa and Napa, then clearing to sunny in upper 70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 64, and today in San Jose, sunny in 83. Across Central California, sunny skies with daytime highs near 93 in Sacramento and mid-90s from Stockton through Modesto, Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield with lows in the mid-50s to low 60s. It's a snapshot of your Friday weather from Grange Co-op.
Oh, there's a beautiful shot. You notice how the sun started on the right side?
Yeah.
McLaughlin, and now it's on the left side.
It wasn't that long ago. It was right over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, we're heading towards the longest day of the year.
Yep.
Which is somewhere around the end of June.
Yeah.
First, second, third.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, beautiful sunrise this morning, and heading into a great weekend weather-wise, a lot of activity. We'll talk about that, and just remember what it is all about.
Absolutely. Now, we all know that evil exists and that it comes from the evil one. Have you ever had a time in your life where you felt like, man, he's close?
Well, I've walked into rooms.
Okay.
I've walked into meetings, and you go, there's something wrong.
Right, absolutely.
Well, that's the Holy Spirit letting you know.
Oh, amen. And I think a lot of people have felt that.
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, Billy Graham encourages us to resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
And then fourthly, you meet the devil by knowing the scriptures. He's the only person who never surrendered or yielded himself to the temptation of Satan, and he did it by quoting scripture. He said, "It is written." In James 4:7 it says, "Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." I was having a struggle once over a certain thing, and I knew Satan was wrestling with me. And I remember that passage in James, resist the devil and he'll flee from you, and I was resisting him. But I'd forgotten the first part of the verse. Submit yourself therefore to God. First, you submit yourself to God and say, "Lord, I want to be in your will. You take charge of my life as Lord and Master." Then when you resist the devil, you have the promise that he'll flee from you. And you can overcome him. And then in Revelation 12:11 it says, "By the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, they overcame the accuser." And in 1 Peter 5, it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour, whom resist, steadfast in the faith."
Well, I think in the heat of the battle, hopefully you can remember that.
Yeah.
There was an old wartime thing, especially on this Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You're over the target when you're being shot at.
Oh, boy. Yes. Here comes the flak.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. Good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the top stories on this Friday morning at 12 minutes past the hour. Looks like the president is basically saying to Iran, well, you guys, I tell you what, we are coming to get the stockpile of enriched uranium.
Okay.
And I think this pretty much is the line in the sand.
I think you're right.
Here's the president.
We're going to either make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, or we're going to have to do something very drastic. And the people of the country, I believe when it's put to the people of our country, they will all agree that we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Yes, Daniel?
Just let me just one follow up on that. How do you want things to end up with the Strait of Hormuz, though? Would you like them to have?
Well, we want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls. Right now, they are losing $500 million a day is what it's projected. I don't know, it sounds like a lot of money, but whether it's 500 or 200 or 300, they're losing a lot of money. There hasn't been a ship that's been able to get through without our approval. And the Navy has done an amazing job. And no ship is going to Iran, as you know. No ship is going to, or out of Iran without our approval.
Can they keep their highly enriched uranium?
No, we get the highly enriched. We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want it. We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so look, that's big statements.
Yeah.
And I would say just any day now we'll see some activity there. All right, the other part of the area that's kind of popped up again, Cuba's back in the news, and we have sent a aircraft carrier off to the coastline over there at the Caribbean, kind of pointed over there, you know. And we have now indicted Raul Castro.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to go in and get him like we did Maduro.
I wonder, yeah.
But I got a funny feeling that could happen.
I think you may
Something
be right.
is up.
Yep.
And Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, basically says that he's doubtful of diplomacy will work with Cuba. At the end of the day, the core administration of Cuba is socialist.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Communist.
Yeah.
And I don't know what connections they have to the outside world, if any left.
Yeah, true.
But something happened. They got a shipment of drones.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did that come from?
So I don't think the president wants military action, but on the other hand, we could see another Maduro/Castro thing happen. Mm-hmm. And would that neutralize Cuba? But in the meantime, the president says, you know, every president for the last 50, 60 years have been dealing with this and turned a blind eye to it. And yet here was communism 90 miles off our shore, and we allowed it to exist.
Right.
Remember the Bay of Pigs?
Oh, yeah.
All right, anyway, here's a little bit of a comment on that one.
Our preference in Cuba and anywhere in the world is a negotiated diplomatic settlement, okay? And that's what I would say to you. The president always has the option to do whatever it takes to support and protect the national interest and national security of the United States. He has the option to do that if there's a threat to the national security of the United States. And he has shown his willingness to do that when he identifies such a threat. That said, our preference is always a diplomatic solution, always. And you know, a negotiated agreement. That's always our preference. But to answer your question, if there's a threat to the national security of the United States, the president not just has the right, he has the obligation to address that national security threat. Right now, there just doesn't seem to be people over there in charge of the regime who are in any way open to any of those changes. And the things they talk about economically are cosmetic in nature. They're not real, because that's what they've gotten used to all these years, is just buying time and waiting us out. They're not going to be able to wait us out or buy time. We're very serious. We're very focused. As I told you a moment ago, in the context of Iran, the president's preference is always a negotiated agreement that's peaceful. That's always our preference. That remains our preference with Cuba. I'm just being honest with you. You know, the likelihood of that happening, given who we're dealing with right now, is not high. But if they have a change of heart, you know, we're here.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, this is why this guy's getting high ratings. We've never heard a Secretary of State just be blunt like that.
Right.
Can you remember Hillary Clinton ever talking like that? Remember Anthony Blinken? You ever hear him talking like that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
Look what we've been through, and the appeasement that we have done in the past of dealing with this stuff. Don't get me wrong, Iran's important. That's global.
Well,
Cuba's our backyard.
Right, and let's face it, the closest we have come in world history to nuclear holocaust was over Cuba. Yeah, we went eyeball to eyeball with the Soviet Union in the early 60s when they were trying to arm Cuba with nuclear weapons.
There you go.
And boy, well, Khrushchev blinked. Kennedy won that one. But we've been doing this ever since then. And he talked about, the long game, the Secretary of State here, Rubio did. We've been playing the long game, but guess what? I really think we're probably in the best position we've ever been in with them, with this president.
Absolutely. Since the 50s, when it's taken over, this is the best we've ever. And I really think we're going to see a Maduro-type thing happen here. So they're probably figuring out. You don't put an aircraft carrier over there just to have a nice day and do some sunbathing.
Right. And if I was Raul Castro, I'd be looking at Maduro sitting in the clink in the U.S. thinking, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah. All right. This other story is kind of interesting.
What?
This shows you how much politics can be a good old boys club. Okay?
Yeah.
And a good old gals club, however you want to put it. The Senate is heading home until June without finishing the reconciliation bill. You know why they're going home early?
Why?
A day early.
A day? Why?
Because the tensions over the package coincides with President Trump. Now, the package includes funding of ICE and all of that. That's the contentious reconciliation bill.
Okay.
So they decided, they voted, and they said this coincides with President Trump's endorsement of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton against the incumbent Senate John Cornyn. In other words, the Senate Republicans have rallied around their rhino buddy. And instead of passing the reconciliation bill, which is a president's bill, it's kind of like a stick in the eye. We're going home. Have a nice weekend, Mr. President.
Wow.
So even John Thune, who heads up the majority leader there in the Senate, couldn't hold them together.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This just shows you, and I think some of it, is probably loyalty. I get that. But just shows you that the people's business is always secondary to the buddies.
Yeah. Yes.
Where's the principle in this?
Right. No, it's about your pal. Yep.
So, what if Ken Paxton wins that race?
Yeah, what if? Have you seen any polling numbers or anything? Do you have any?
Well, I should look this up. When is Texas primary? It's got to be within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, those are some of the top stories on this Friday. For those of you who are watching, most of the people probably already left somewhere.
Yeah, it's National Road Trip Day.
Out back here, two of the mechanics that work on airplanes here.
Yeah.
They brought their RVs to work.
No way.
It was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
So they were servicing them out. Instead of doing their job.
Right. Instead of servicing airplanes,
they're supposed to be working on airplanes. They're out there working on their RVs.
Oh, no.
Yesterday, they both left in tandem. I told you noon yesterday was the end of it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so here we are going into the Memorial Day. Remember, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Right, we'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegateRV.com.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon.
Mornings on the Dove covers important issues,
But we also take the time to have some fun.
along with encouragement, the day's forecast, and Jerry's Day in history.
So start your day with encouragement and information.
Join us weekday mornings on the Dove. Hey, how y'all doing out there? 23 minutes past the hour right here on a beautiful Friday going into the long Memorial Day weekend. Remember this picture behind us, which is the kind of a side shot of Arlington Cemetery. This is what it's all about.
Yeah.
This is why we have this day, and we'll be talking about that coming up in just a little bit. All right, in the meantime, Seattle is falling apart like crazy.
Yeah.
And the mayor up there, Katie Wilson, basically told people to boycott Starbucks.
Yep.
Starbucks decides, well, have a nice day, we're leaving, and then she wants them to come back.
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, Starbucks is moving to Tennessee and it's a $100 million move.
Right. Now, they're not taking their entire operations out. They're building headquarters there, and they're keeping some kind of a footprint in Seattle.
Well, I think they have to keep the original store.
I think, the store, but I think there's still some management. But I wouldn't be surprised if they exit completely before this is all said and done.
I think you're going to see this because you don't spend $100 million somewhere else. Well, I don't know. Let me say this. For a company to make the decision to leave is no small decision.
No. Especially
the logistics to pick up your operation and move it.
And especially like
deal.
Starbucks, this is their birthplace.
It is.
Yes.
And it's become the icon of Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Seattle just poked their nose at it.
Yeah.
I don't, this gal needs to go. And so what's going to happen here is Seattle is going to go the way of New York, and then what are you going to do?
Yep.
All those businesses downtown Seattle, you can't go, you used to go to Seattle, working in one of those beautiful businesses, go down at noon or 10 o'clock, you go to coffee or go to Starbucks, there's all over the place, or you go down to the waterfront, you do all, now you got homeless and druggies all over the place, you don't even leave your building.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen, but this gal's got, and you got to remember one thing about it.
What?
The people elected her.
Absolutely, yes. And keep in mind that businesses are exiting. Starbucks is one of the most high profile, obviously, but businesses are leaving. If you have any doubt about it, check the real estate listings in downtown Seattle for business space.
Oh, gosh.
It's available all over the place. They got like a 35% occupancy rate right now.
Yeah, it's when Blue takes over, people go out the back door, and this is sad. Why are we letting a beautiful city do this? Why would we allow San Francisco to go through this?
Well,
why are we allowing New York to go there? I guess they have to hit the wall to learn the lesson.
Something like that. People just don't get which side of the bread the butter goes on.
Well, I've been to Seattle quite a few times, and I got to tell you that one of the last times I was there, I caught the ferry. Late in the evening.
I love it. Yeah.
And went out to was going over to Port Angeles.
Okay.
And as you leave and you look back on that waterfront,
wonderful
with the Ferris wheel. And,
yes.
Gosh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
I don't know. People can't afford to be there. People are leaving, and it's just a sad thing. And they have a wealth tax on their ballot.
Yes, they do.
So this is just crazy. If you open that door on the wealth tax, it's kind of like. Fees. You ever notice a fee go down?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, once they got it, it's theirs.
All right.
Yeah.
Take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on. We have beautiful, beautiful weather up and down the Pacific coastline today. from I would say Baja California through Oregon, through Washington. It is just beautiful. It gets a little warm for today and tomorrow, and then it starts to back off a little bit. And we could see some weather Tuesday.
Yeah, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, we're going to see mid-80s and then backing down all the way into the low to mid-70s by Sunday. And like you said, chance of showers by Tuesday.
There you go.
So all in all, that looks good. Okay, we've been talking about Cuba. And at one time, we really, they could have been a threat, especially if the Soviet Union armed them. But is Cuba still a threat? Well, Representative James Comer talked to Newsmax's Robert Finnerty about international missions being carried out by the Trump administration and why he views Cuba as a threat to the United States.
At the end of the day, Cuba has always been a national security threat. And as you said earlier, we've been negotiating with Cuba since before I was born. I'm 53 years old. So the negotiations have gone nowhere. Cuba's leader is at the end of his lifespan. The Cuban people clearly, unlike maybe the Iranian people, the Cuban people clearly want a regime change in Cuba. It's just, minutes away from Miami and Florida in the United States, so it's a strategic problem for the United States. If some country went in and loaded Cuba with the same drones that Iran had when we first started bombing Iran, then yes, I think it could be a threat. I don't think that's there. I know John Radcliffe has been on the ground. The CIA's on the ground as we speak, talking to the Cuban officials. I really don't think, Rob, it'll get to any type of military action, but the president's threatening that. He's increased sanctions on Cuba. I don't know how many more sanctions the Cubans can take, especially after what happened in Venezuela. The Cuban-American population clearly supports what the president's doing in Cuba. Thus far, it hasn't cost any tax dollars other than to send a few diplomats to Cuba. But at the end of the day, I think that we've got to be on guard because of the new types of warfare that's out there with these new drones and this new technology.
I get it,
We're seeing it play out in Iran.
All right, so the drones are there. It looks like some kind of action takes place. I don't know how you can avoid this. Besides, where does the Monroe Doctrine come in here?
How?
Well, I think that the Monroe Doctrine allows the president to do whatever it takes to get control of Cuba. Because anything in the Northern Hemisphere that would be a threat to the United States, that's why Mexico, Cuba, and Greenland are all on the radar. Okay, now, the left goes crazy with it. A lot of people on the right go crazy with it. But we've never had a president that pokes it like that. Because it's him, it's going to get pushed back and all that. Now, I guess I'm so tired of the blindness of things. But the point being is, can we and should we allow Cuba to stay in a communist state 90 miles away? And the answer is no.
Right. Yeah.
It's no. Take it over, make it a territory like we've done with Puerto Rico. I don't know if you give them a seat in Congress or not, but boy, you certainly make it an extension of Miami, and you go over there and spend the weekend and come back.
That's true. Yeah.
Put all the casinos back. Put all the hotels back. Gather up all the 57 Chevys and have a great time.
Oh my goodness! All right, there's our.
When you see 57 Chevy over there with Ford rims, they've been around a while.
That's what our Cuban diplomacy is all about. 57 Chevys.
Yeah, there we go.
I love it.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Welcome to Fish Lake Resort, where adventure is everywhere, and everyone is your friend. The fishing is great, and the food is tasty. The RV sites are full hookup, and the cabins are cozy. It's always a good time at Fish Lake Resort, and the best part is, you can come visit any day of the year because we are open all year, 7 days a week. Visit fishlakeresort.net today to learn more and plan your visit.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary, sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare, where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living. Your home.
The Dove TV is pleased to announce we're now seen in the San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area via a new full-power TV station, KEDB, seen on cable, satellite TV, and over-the-air. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Francisco, Oakland, and the San Jose area on new full-power KEDB TV.
Okay, welcome back. And of course, as we go into this weekend, the Memorial Day weekend here in Southern Oregon, this takes on a very significant, inspiring event that's going to take place right here in Southern Oregon. I am so delighted to have with us here in the studio this morning Ron Cole. Ron is the president of the Vietnam Memorial Wall here in Southern Oregon. This has been an undertaking unlike anything we've ever seen here in our great city. And Ron is the guy for 12 years, from nothing to this coming weekend. There'll be an amazing ceremony there. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been it's quite emotional and everything else, because why we never stopped.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years.
From an idea where you, and then here you now, you have 58,479 names on that wall.
Correct. And they're in the same order as Washington, D.C.'s.
Okay, and that order is what?
Well, as the way that they put the names on the wall was by the date of casualty. And that's how they're labeled as well. So if you go onto the website to find out that individual, it will tell what panel and the date on that.
Okay.
But when you take a look at our wall, on the side of it, you're going to have a column of names. You know, one line has a lot of names, right, and a shorter, but the column, and it has a dot at the side. That dot indicates 10 rows. So if you're looking for number 57, you come down, get into the 50s and 57, and that name is on that row.
Okay. Now you have dots and you have crosses or pluses behind each name. What does that mean?
The dot behind the name indicates that they were killed in action.
Okay.
And at the theater of there.
In Vietnam, yeah.
In Vietnam. The plus is missing in action and unaccounted for at this time.
Wow. Another unique factoid is there's 7 women's names on there.
Yeah, 8 women.
8 women. 8
women altogether on there.
Okay, to explain that.
Well, okay, there was 7 Army, and they also had 1 Air Force, and there were nurses, and they were attending to all the injured troops that were there, and they were overrun, and they knew that it was going to be a one-way street.
Wow.
And they stayed with our soldiers.
Yeah. Okay, so coming up Monday, there's going to be an amazing ceremony there at the Vietnam Wall. Now, this is so unique. This is a replica of the one in D.C., even where the grass comes up behind it.
Yes, indeed.
If you've ever visited the one in D.C., you can miss it if you don't know what you're looking for. Right. You could walk right past it. So the grass has come up. You got this beautiful wall. It's even shaped like that. So Monday at 12:45, you're going to have, well, you want people to arrive at 12:45. There's a special program begins at 1:30 there. Now this is on Ross Lane. It's right where the big Rogue X swimming pool and big center is.
Yes, indeed.
And down to the south of that, you'll see Logos School. So somewhere in there you can park and come to this event. What's scheduled for Monday, Ron?
Well, we have, obviously, we're going to have, we have speakers, 6 speakers, and we have a senator, a congressman, and then we have a state representative, and then we have the mayor, and then a few others, and I'm going to be the last speaker.
Well,
so I get to be the last part of it.
Well, after 12 years, you should be the first and the last, you know. How's this meant to you? You've gone from an idea to complete fruition. What's going on in your heart?
Well, when I went ahead and I first came involved with it in 2014, I initially wasn't aware too much about the wall. And I had a guy that was in charge of it at the time, Russ McBride. And Russ went ahead and called me in and says, hey, come on into and I started going to the meetings. Well, I understand that we had some people there, Sal Esquivel, as well as the, what was his name? Oh, that was Eli Matthews.
Oh, yeah, right.
They were talking to him about the wall. Well, I was interceding with that and finding out and everything else, and I got very interested in it. Subsequently, I started going to the meetings, and then I became the secretary for that group. Russ went ahead and had a number of other obligations and was asking for somebody to step up to go ahead and be a president. And the board that I was with at the time went ahead and says,
You're it.
You do it.
You do it.
And I says, okay. And that was in 2014. And now 2015 is when I became president of the wall.
Wow. And all this time from an idea to a ceremony.
Very much so, because we didn't have any idea what was going on. We didn't have any land. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any directions.
Right.
So we started out all the way through. The more I learned about the wall, the more I was intrigued with it, and I know that the brothers and sisters that were there gave their all. And when they did, in my quiet time, I promised every name, I would not quit.
Wow.
Okay, you can see this entire interview. You can go to theDove.us, by the way, our new website's up, and you can go to the morning news, and you can click and watch the whole thing. But Ron Cole's a special man, and he did. He stood before the wall in Washington, D.C. He promised every name on that wall, 58,497, if I remember right. Wow. Yes, 58,479, that he would finish this memorial. And it's going to be dedicated this coming Monday, Memorial Day, at 1:30. I would say get there early. There's a lot of accommodations for those who have special needs. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. It's an exact replica of the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C. And I'm honored and humbled to say that through the generosity of a Dove supporter, that we were able to sponsor one of the benches there. There's only 8. There's only 8 benches that will be along the wall, and 4 on each side with the flag in the middle. I mean, the setup of this thing is just phenomenal. And so we're honored to be a part of that, but that'll all be dedicated this coming.
Okay, I got a question. Okay, because we've driven by it a couple of times, and from the street, you know, you go by, it's on the, you can't see it. But you know where that berm is and stuff. You know it's on the other side, and especially if you've been to the one in Washington D.C.
Right.
Okay, so it's on Rogex property.
Right.
Does that mean Rogex parking lot to get there? Because as I was looking around, it's like, where do you park to get in here?
Okay, this is it's a little bit of a complicated question, but you got Rogex, and then you have Logos School.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have the city, the county, and a private organization all working together.
All right.
Okay. And then you take the very corner of it, and you have the berm coming up where you don't see the wall.
Exactly.
Which is kind of like what you say in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
To answer your question, I understand everybody's working together with everybody for the weekend for parking. I think you're going to enter in over where Logos School is. You're going to go through that area because there's some soccer fields out there too.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, they're going to work it all out. But this thing is phenomenal. And remember this: when you look at the wall, if it's a dot like next to the name, they died. There.
All right.
If it's like a cross or a plus, they missing in action.
MIA. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
And there's 8 women on the wall.
Oh.
So it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's stunning. So, and then you have the Veterans Cemetery in Eagle Point, which is right there in your backyard.
Yeah.
Big things up there with the flags. You know. The jets from Klamath Falls will be flying around.
21-gun salute, the whole shooting works up there. It's a great ceremony that they have.
So we have done well here in Southern Oregon to pay. And then if you go up I-5, there's only one Korean War memorial. It's just before you get right around the Woodburn area.
Yeah.
And you can get off the freeway and you can see that one. So anyway, find a place, fly your flag this weekend. Remember, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
Those who gave their all that we may be free. All right, let's take a look at the weather.
A look at our forecast from Grange Co-op. With high pressure keeping things clear and warm across our region, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, full sunshine with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley from Salem through Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s with a calm wind becoming north 5 to 9 miles per hour this morning. Sunshine across central Oregon with temperatures moving into the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and near 78 for Sun River. And sunshine continues over into Boise, Idaho with a high near 81 and low near 50. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny, breezy in upper 60s in Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy from Port Orford through Brookings and Crescent City, California with highs in the mid to upper 60s. Continuing to warm up in southern Oregon with sunshine in upper 80s in Grants Pass, near 90 in Medford and mid 80s around Ashland. Sunny across the Klamath Basin with highs in the low 80s. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the upper 80s for Wairika. Sunny and hot moving south with highs in the upper 90s for Redding and Chico, but patchy fog over in Fort Bragg, then sunny in upper 50s. In the Bay Area, patchy fog in Santa Rosa and Napa, then clearing to sunny in upper 70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 64, and today in San Jose, sunny in 83. Across central California, sunny skies with daytime highs near 93 in Sacramento and mid-90s from Stockton through Modesto, Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield with lows in the mid-50s to low 60s. It's a snapshot of your Friday weather from Grange Co-op.
A look back on this May 22nd. We talked the other day about songs that come out of movies, become popular, and hit the charts.
Yeah.
Well, it happened again on this day in 1965. A near impossible to pronounce song from a new movie floated onto the music charts, and it reached number 66. From the movie Mary Poppins, the song Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, performed by Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, became one of the most famous movie songs of all time, despite many radio DJs needing practice just to say the title.
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And although the song peaked at number 66 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, it did much better on the adult contemporary charts, reaching number 14. And it's not only the longest one-word song title to make the song charts, it's also the longest one-word song title, period. The movie itself became a Disney classic, winning 5 Academy Awards and turning Julie Andrews into an international star in her very first film role. And more than 60 years later, kids and plenty of adults still proudly try to sing the whole thing without getting tongue-tied.
When movies were wholesome.
That's right, yes.
So the question I have is, who wrote that?
That's a great question. I'll have to look it up.
I mean, it was what a clever song.
Yeah, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. We all learned it. We can still say it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm afraid to say that out loud, but I just said it to myself.
All right.
All right, let's check in with Ann Graham. Hey, here's a little bit kind of fits here. Ann Graham Lotz is going to go through the names of Jesus alphabetically. So this hour we're going to give you the first half. Next hour we'll give you the second half.
Nice.
So here you go.
Even at night, when I can't sleep at night, or if I'm troubled about something, I'll just begin to go through the alphabetical list of the names of Jesus. So I want to speak the name of Jesus over you, okay? So he's our Abba. He's our beloved Father. He's the Alpha, the beginning of everything. He is almighty. Nobody mightier than Jesus. He's the bread of life. And he said his word is the bread. When we eat of it and we live it out, we obey it and we live it out, then it satisfies. Like people looking for satisfaction, they're looking for fulfillment. It's found in a relationship with God that you develop through his word. And he's our creator. He knows our frame. He knows we're just little dust people. Now we're sharing with Cindy, who's both of her parents all of a sudden are having heart issues. And it's just because, and I've had heart issues too. So at this age, you have body parts that are just wearing out. But he is my creator. He knows what it's like to have issues like that. And he doesn't expect more of us than, if we just make ourselves available, he can do it through us. But as we get older, we get a little bit weaker. And he understands that. He's the defender of the weak and the defender of widows. And I told Pastor Tim, I'm also an orphan and a widow. But he's the defender of those like me. He takes up our cause. He's Emmanuel, God with us. I love Psalm 23, verse 4, when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will be with you, he says. He's with you. Isaiah 43 says, when you go through the waters or go through the floods, he's with you. He's Emmanuel.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming up next hour, we'll play the other half of that.
All right.
That's something to maybe consider.
It is.
Writing out all the names of Jesus and repeating it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I'm Susanna, and I contracted KA Designs to do custom cabinets throughout my house. We chose a really beautiful maple wood that really creates like a nice airy space. Everything was custom, and it was really cool because I got to literally see it come to life in person. We love to entertain, and we have a large family, so everything came together perfectly, exactly what I wanted. I highly suggest KA Designs if you're looking to design your dream house. Go check them out in their showroom. You will not be disappointed.
Jerry's Historical Archives. U.S. history. Great moments in time. Record breakers. Our music through the years. Historic leaders. Moments to remember. Go back in time. Back in the day. TV shows of the past. Nostalgia.
It's a wonderful trip down memory lane with fun and interesting stories you might not know about. Relive the past and learn something new.
Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove.
If you don't drive it, donate it. By supporting us, you'll get even more mileage out of it.
Thank you from the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. 9 minutes before the hour. The other day I had Alan Parker on. Alan Parker's the guy that defended Norma McCorvey, who was the Roe in the Roe versus Wade.
Oh, yeah.
Who since went on and became a Christian and
right.
Totally pro-life.
Right.
He thinks that the 250th rededication of America is an opportunity to declare and launch a constitutional declaration of right to life. Why? Why did Roe versus Wade get overturned? Because nowhere in the Constitution does it say a woman has a right to abortion.
Amen.
3 places in the United, 2 places in the Constitution, one in the Declaration, it says right to life.
Yeah.
And he thinks we're coming back to another look at this and bring that up that the right to life issue could be totally wiped out because it's already in the Constitution.
It is, yes.
Anyway, so here's what he had to say. Remarkable guy.
Well, the Supreme Court said in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health on June 24th, 2022, just 4 years ago now, coming up on the 4th anniversary, there is no right to abortion in the Constitution. The Supreme Court said, we, the Supreme Court, were wrong, absolutely unjustified when we said there was a right to life in the abortion, and the right to abortion in 1973. Now, that was the big issue they had to decide in that case. They were not asked if there's a right to life in the Constitution. They just had to eliminate the right to abortion, which the court had erroneously said existed in the Constitution. And in fact, if I could read a little bit from that decision, I think it's very important. We hold that Roe and Casey, that was a 1992 decision saying there was a right to life and a right to abortion, The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision, including the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. And so they said they were actually wrong. Now the question is there a right to life in the Constitution? What the Supreme Court said, no right to abortion. So the result of that was temporarily to throw the decision back to the federal government and the states, both of whom have a duty to protect life. So there's 2 life clauses in the Constitution. You heard me mention the Due Process Clause.
Right.
That's been used by the liberals to create false rights. But there's 2 life clauses in the Constitution. Where are they? The 5th Amendment says no person shall be deprived of life without due process of law. And the 14th Amendment says nor shall any state be deprived of life without due process of law. And so those are the 2 clauses. And under the doctrine of originalism, justices are supposed to give the words of the Constitution, including the word life, the meaning that it had at the time that it was placed in the Constitution. And it's very, very clear that the founders absolutely knew that life began in the womb and life was protected by law for 200 years because of this duty to protect life that's actually in the Constitution.
There you go.
That
the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment.
That's fantastic.
All right, good stuff. John Bittendorf coming in. We're going to talk about, do you believe in the flood?
All right.
We'll talk about that.
Let's go. Right. Okay, well, this is cool. One restaurant owner is bringing back a taste of the past and hoping it helps families reconnect with the present. Check this out. At several remodeled Pizza Hut locations, customers are finding glowing red lamps, checkered tablecloths, tabletop arcade games, and those famous oversized red plastic cups that made Pizza Hut feel like a Friday night event back in the 80s and 90s. The retro makeover is the idea of restaurant owner Tim Sparks, who says the goal is about more than nostalgia. He hopes families will put down their phones, sit together, and actually talk over pizza again. And it seems to be working. Sparks says people are driving hours just to relive those childhood memories, complete with Pac-Man in the corner and the classic Pizza Hut atmosphere many thought was gone forever. He admits finding original decorations hasn't been easy, especially the iconic hanging lamps, but for Sparks, if restoring a little pizza nostalgia helps bring families closer together, it's worth every slice. Taking a little page out of the Coca-Cola playbook there. He marketed it as Pizza Hut Classic.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Isaiah 7, verse 14, a good one for you on this Friday. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. One of the names. Yeah. Emmanuel, God with us. All right. Be careful. hot and dry. Enjoy, drive carefully, eat a lot, come back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Being in business is challenging. At Network in Action Southern Oregon, we're all about real connection and real growth. We value your time with once-a-month meetings and believe in transformational relationships rather than transactional ones. We have 3 groups in the Valley, a Christian group, a Medford group, and a Grants Pass group, all filled with amazing local professionals. Network in Action Southern Oregon, so much more than just networking. Find out more at sonetworking.com.
Once again, our very own Dove TV was recognized for excellence by the National Religious Broadcasters with the prestigious Station of the Year Award for 2026.
And this year's recipient of TV Station of the Year Award is Dove TV.
This makes 9 times the Dove has been honored by our peers with this celebrated national award. We're grateful, and another reason to stay encouraged and informed by watching and supporting the Dove TV. In a time when our culture faces unprecedented challenges,
I want to talk about the role of a Christian even in a hostile culture.
Christian apologist and evangelist Alex McFarland addresses the hard-hitting questions about faith, morality, and culture.
People are hungry for truth, and we've got to rise to the challenge of our assignment as the church.
Know your faith better to be equipped to defend it in a world searching for answers.
But when you put the face of like an earthly man on God, then you're never going to understand who God is.
God takes pleasure in you, and the very sight of you is joy and blessing.
Alex McFarland, inspiring believers through apologetics to boldly stand for truth in a critical time. Catch him Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative. More at thedove.us.
The Legacy Luncheon, hosted by the Dove and Youth 71.5, Tuesday, June 2nd, 12 to 2 at the Dove Studios.
Good morning. You're tuned to the Dove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you and happy Friday. As we go into Memorial Day weekend, behind us is what it's all about. That is a picture of I think it's the southeastern part of Arlington Cemetery, if I have it right. And that is a clear reminder of what Memorial Day is all about. Wherever you are, hopefully you will take time to remember and tribute and thank the good Lord for those who gave their all that we may be free. We have a lot more on that coming up a little bit down the road, but...
Quick question. On Memorial Day of my youth, we used to go down to Main Street and they'd give us these, a big bundle of paper poppies. And we would go out and people would give us little donations for the poppies and we would take that back. I'm not sure. I think it went to a veterans group. But the poppy was a symbol of I think the armistice in World War I. And then continued through on Memorial Day. But I don't see that much anymore.
You know, I do remember that. But I don't see that now. You know, a lot of flag waving. Each one of these gravestones have a flag put by it, you know.
Like the National Cemetery at Eagle Point.
Up here at Eagle Point, we'll have it. And then we'll talk a little bit later about an amazing event coming up this weekend, right here in our own backyard with the dedication of a replica of the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C., right here in Medford. So it's a big deal.
Amazing.
Anyway, good morning to you. A lot going on. Weather-wise, warm, very warm. Then it backed down a little bit towards the end of the holiday weekend, and could see some rain by next Tuesday. We'll give you details on that.
How about that?
What else you got going?
Well, first of all, it's National Maritime Day, recognizing the launch of the maritime industry in the United States, and especially in the day and age in which we live. I think there's a little bit of frustration maritime-wise as people are stacked up in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, well,
oh, my goodness.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to go visit an aircraft carrier.
I have been on one that's a museum on the west side of Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
In low 40s, and it is wonderful. If you ever have a chance, absolutely go do it.
Okay.
National Road Trip Day serves as the official kickoff of the summer road trip season. Maybe fewer road trips this summer?
Yep.
What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
At 5 something a gallon?
Yeah.
It's going to be on a zero-turn motor.
And even that's getting too expensive. Yes. Yeah. I love it. All right. Enjoy your road trip. It's also National Buy a Musical Instrument Day, a day all about music and the instruments that help you make it. And of course, you know, when we think of buying musical instruments, probably the players that buy the most musical instruments are guitar players.
Yeah, how many you have?
You know, I only have about 8 or so.
Oh. How many acoustics?
One, I have 2 acoustics. I have the original acoustic guitar that I used to sit and serenade Pam when we were dating.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, I showed it to the grandkids and they go, "Can I play that, Grandpa?" And I'm like, I have that. Yep.
Okay, well, that's one up.
Hangs on the wall.
Okay,
yeah. All right.
You have electric. You have the
electric
bass guitar.
I got 4 bass guitars and around 4 regular guitars, 6 strings, including a couple acoustics.
Okay, so when I interviewed Dr. George Barna, he does it from the office in his house.
He's got great instruments.
And on the wall, he's got all these basses.
Oh, he's got good stuff.
Yeah, and he wears these big white earphones. So I told him, I said, Dr. Barna, I said, this is an interview, not a recording session.
Now, let me ask you, being he's wearing headphones and he's got all these instruments that make loud music, has he got hearing issues?
Huh?
Spoken like a true drummer.
I just go buy some sticks.
Yeah, a true drummer and pilot, should I say. Yeah, so, okay. It's also National Vanilla Pudding Day. Ooh. We've all heard that phrase. It's as plain as vanilla pudding, but that kind of plain is pretty good. Vanilla pudding's all right, especially when you mix it into a parfait.
No.
Yeah, put some layers of fruit, a little vanilla pudding, some more fruit, maybe a little bit of whipped cream. But either way, it is very good. Enjoy your vanilla pudding. And if you want to take it with you on your road trip, throw it in your cooler because it is National Cooler Day. Right. The very first portable ice chest was invented in 1802, and he patented the ice box, a Maryland farmer by the name of Thomas Moore. And but the material that became the backbone for coolers wasn't invented until 1944, a little substance known as styrofoam.
Oh.
Coleman Company jumped on it, and they made the first ice box, which was surrounding sheets of styrofoam, and they marketed that baby as the cooler.
The cooler.
They coined that phrase, the cooler, and they marketed it in 1954, and the rest, as they say, is history, because I think most of us have had a Coleman cooler.
Coleman cooler.
Yeah, baby.
Now you go in the store, what do you see?
Yeti. That's right. Like, sometimes you see Yeti. Isn't he elusive?
Well, I haven't seen one walking around, but they're stacked up all over the place.
They are stacked up. That's right. All right, enjoy.
All right, well, let's see. Here's Pam's husband, who's anything but vanilla.
A look at our forecast from Grange Co-op. With high pressure keeping things clear and warm across our region, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, full sunshine with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley from Salem through Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s with a calm wind becoming north 5 to 9 miles per hour this morning. Sunshine across central Oregon with temperatures moving into the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and near 78 for Sun River. And sunshine continues over into Boise, Idaho with a high near 81 and low near 50. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny, breezy in upper 60s in Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy from Port Orford through Brookings and Crescent City, California with highs in the mid to upper 60s. Continuing to warm up in southern Oregon with sunshine in upper 80s in Grants Pass, near 90 in Medford and mid 80s around Ashland. Sunny across the Klamath Basin with highs in the low 80s. Into Northern California, sunny with a high in the upper 80s for Wairika. Sunny and hot moving south with highs in the upper 90s for Redding and Chico, but patchy fog over in Fort Bragg, then sunny in upper 50s. In the Bay Area, patchy fog in Santa Rosa and Napa, then clearing to sunny in upper 70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 64, and today in San Jose, sunny in 83. Across Central California, sunny skies with daytime highs near 93 in Sacramento and mid-90s from Stockton through Modesto, Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield with lows in the mid-50s to low 60s. It's a snapshot of your Friday weather from Grange Co-op.
Okay, the makings of a beautiful weekend as we go into Memorial Day weekend, but look at that picture, how quickly things have turned to brown. And it just lets you know that it's going to be warm and be careful, you know. We're going into a really cautious fire season.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we know that we all come upon temptation in our life, but here's encouragement with the Reverend Billy Graham as he shows how you can overcome the tempter.
Now, how did Christ gain the victory? Let's summarize a moment because it'll help you when you have to face the tempter when you go home tonight or tomorrow at the office or in the school or wherever you are. The temptation to cheat, the temptation to take a drug, the temptation to take a shortcut that's wrong, the temptation to tell a lie. First, by obedience to the will of God. You just say, Lord, I will obey you, but I need your help. Because none of us can live the Christian life alone. We just can't do it. It's the Holy Spirit that He gives you to live in you and through you. I cannot live the Christian life. The Holy Spirit must live it through me. And then secondly, by being filled with the Holy Spirit. Have you been filled with the Holy Spirit? And then thirdly, by spending much time in prayer. You don't have to kneel down every time you pray. I have a daughter that thinks you have to kneel down to pray. And she gets up every morning real early and prays 2 hours before the children get up, but on her knees. And if you felt her knees, they're like leather. And the doctor's already said she's getting arthritis from it. And I told her, I said, you don't have to do that. I said, you can pray all the time everywhere as she does. But she feels that God has called her to that ministry of prayer and study of the Scriptures on her knees every morning.
I wonder who that is. That's Anne Graham Mott.
Yeah.
We have her coming up a little bit later on. Well, temptation, you know. Resist the devil and he'll flee from you. All right, let's check out some of the top stories on this Friday morning. And boy, this is really interesting. The president has made the announcement yesterday in one of his, I guess, White House Oval Office. He lets the press in a lot.
A lot.
I will say one thing. You know, you may not like the guy, but he's been pretty accessible.
Very accessible, yeah. Oh, boy.
So anyway, he lets the press in, and they start drilling him on a lot of things. And it came up to the stockpile of enriched uranium in Iran, which Iran has said, no, you can't have it. They can't make a deal. They were supposed to go to the table. Here we are Friday. Nothing's happening. Time is wasting. And the president said yesterday, nope, we're going to go get it. And here's what he had to say.
We're going to either make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, or we're going to have to do something very drastic. And the people of the country, I believe when it's put to the people of our country, they will all agree that we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Yes, Daniel?
Just let me just one follow-up on that. How do you want things to end up with the Strait of Hormuz, though? Would you like them to have...
Well, we want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls. Right now, they are losing $500 million a day is what it's projected. I don't know, it sounds like a lot of money, but whether it's 500 or 200 or 300, they're losing a lot of money. There hasn't been a ship that's been able to get through without our approval. And the Navy has done an amazing job. And no ship is going to Iran, as you know. No ship is going to, or out of Iran without our approval.
Can they keep their highly enriched uranium?
No, we get the highly enriched. We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want it. We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it.
That's pretty clear.
Very clear.
So that's the most precise we've heard. So that just lets you know that something's brewing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
In the Situation Room, they're situating.
All right, well put. Okay.
And I would imagine Israel's in the Situation Room.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, this other story is kind of interesting. Back to Cuba. Cuba is back in the news, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, says, look, our first attempt on everything is diplomacy. But he says, look, at the end of the day, Cuba's got bad people running it. And in the meantime, we have indicted Raul Castro, which is kind of interesting, who was a military minister. I don't know what role he has now. Do you know?
I think he is like President Emeritus.
So he's actually very strong.
Yeah, he is.
But he's still there. But
Right.
so the question is does he become the next? What's the guy that we got?
Oh, Maduro.
Maduro.
Yes, he could. Yeah.
So in the meantime, the president has sent an aircraft carrier over into the Caribbean, pointed right at him.
Yeah.
But Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, says, no, I don't know. We want diplomacy, but I don't think it's going to work. Here's what he had to say.
Our preference in Cuba and anywhere in the world is a negotiated diplomatic settlement, okay? And that's what I would say to you. The president always has the option to do whatever it takes to support and protect the national interest and national security of the United States. He has the option to do that if there's a threat to the national security of the United States. And he has shown his willingness to do that when he identifies such a threat. That said, our preference is always a diplomatic solution, always, and you know, a negotiated agreement. That's always our preference. But to answer your question, if there's a threat to the national security of the United States, the president not just has the right, he has the obligation to address that national security threat. Right now, there just doesn't seem to be people over there in charge of the regime who are in any way open to any of those changes. And the things they talk about economically are cosmetic in nature. They're not real, because that's what they've gotten used to all these years, is just buying time and waiting us out. They're not going to be able to wait us out or buy time. We're very serious. We're very focused. As I told you a moment ago, in the context of Iran, the president's preference is always a negotiated agreement that's peaceful. That's always our preference. That remains our preference with Cuba. I'm just being honest with you. You know, the likelihood of that happening, given who we're dealing with right now, is not high. But if they have a change of heart, you know, we're here.
Wow.
All right, so the president has brought to the surface here in a very pronounced way the Monroe Doctrine. What is the Monroe Doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine is a foundational United States foreign policy framework first articulated by President James Monroe in his 1823 address to Congress. It states that the Western Hemisphere is off limits to further European colonization, and declares that any foreign intervention in the Americas is potentially hostile act against the U.S. itself.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and here we got one 90 miles away. The other one in the Western Hemisphere is Greenland.
Yes, yes. Now, this one has been a very contentious point for the U.S. I mean, our whole lives we've been looking at this thing with Cuba, and in fact, no doubt, the closest we've come to nuclear holocaust in worldwide was over Cuba and the embargo, and Khrushchev and Kennedy went eyeball to eyeball, and as they say, Khrushchev blinked, and it was that close.
Yeah, it was.
But, and here it still plays out, and he talks about, and Marco Rubio, too, I think is uniquely qualified to talk about this subject, because that's where his people come from.
Yeah,
that's his heritage.
Yeah, his parents are immigrated from there.
Yep.
So we'll see, but apparently the bottom line to Cuba is we need to bring it under, in my opinion, we need to bring it under American control. Maybe treat it like we do Puerto Rico as a territory. I don't know if you turn it into a state, possibly, you know. I mean, we tried to do that with Canada. That didn't go very far. This is an island. Maybe we could do it with an island. I don't know. But look, before, in the 50s, it was the go-to place.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
And so in the meantime, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, the last story we have here is the Senate heads home a little bit early until June without finishing its reconciliation bill. So they go home at this time through Memorial Day and stay there until the end of the month. Mm-hmm. So they head out of town a day early without finishing the reconciliation bill, which is basically the bill that has the funding for ICE in it.
Okay.
Border funding bill and all that stuff, which is very contentious, okay? And one of the reasons, and even John Thune, Senator John Thune says, I don't have control over this. They just walked out. And it's primarily because the president has endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton against incumbent sitting senator from Texas, John Cornyn. So they don't like that. So instead of doing the people's business, they did the POW business and protected, circled the wagons and left.
And of course,
but the polling in Texas looks like Paxton can pull it off.
Yeah. So they've all left town.
Yeah.
And they all avoided the TSA lines when they checked into the air.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because they don't
avoid a TSA line when you have a private jet waiting to take you home.
Well, okay, yeah, I didn't think of that one. All right, yeah.
Anyway, the twists and turns of our government. So interesting. It's fun to talk about, frustrating to live through.
Yeah.
All right, 18 minutes past the hour. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Hi, I'm Ryan Robertson, host of a brand new program on theDove, Ministries on the Move. Ministries on the Move spotlights the incredible work of how God is using everyday people and organizations, putting their faith into action, serving the hurting, strengthening families, and sharing the hope of the gospel in practical ways. Be inspired and discover these Ministries on the Move. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m., right here on theDove TV. Encouraging and informative. More at thedove.us.
All right, welcome back. 20 minutes past the hour. A couple of stories I want to highlight here. One up in Seattle, which is West Coast News. And Seattle really now is getting hammered over their socialist mayor basically telling Starbucks, have a nice day and leave. And actually, forcing people to boycott them. Well, that backfired. Now she's saying, well, why don't you stick around? Well, Starbucks has now decided to open up corporate offices in Tennessee, and they're spending $100 million on doing this.
Yeah.
You don't pick up a company and move it. Now, they're going to have still a presence in Seattle. I mean, that's their founding place, especially the original store.
Yeah, yeah.
But this just shows you what's happening. Seattle is getting overrun by homelessness, a socialist mayor that's running everybody out, taxing everything except for water and oxygen. I think she's trying to figure out how to do that.
And you know what? Very cavalier attitude. A kind of like, she doesn't care. She was like, goodbye. You know, saying goodbye to these businesses that are leaving until they leave. And somebody points out to her, you know how much money we just lost? That, by the way, you want to spend on all these social programs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Well, the only thing I can say is, remember this, the people elected her.
Yes. Yes.
Now, at what point do they wake up and say, this is crazy? I don't know. Mondani, how long will he last? Will he get reelected in New York?
Boy, that's a huge question. Yeah.
Will she get reelected? I mean, it could be people want this stuff because what they haven't reached yet, our businesses are leaving. That's the first sign they're leaving. But what really hasn't happened yet is the city hasn't run out of money yet, and they will.
Yeah.
They'll run out of money. And once that happens, and then all these free things go away. All right, the other thing I want to bring to your attention, this is Memorial Day weekend, and I really hope that you will find a place to show your respect for the fallen. Behind us here is Arlington Cemetery, which is a subtle reminder of what this weekend is all about. But here in Medford, we have something very, very special taking place, and it's going to be the dedication of the brand new replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall. Right there where Rogue X is. It's right on the corner. You can't miss it. 58,479 names are on that wall. We had Ron Colin, who's the president of this association, putting this together. 12 years it took them to put this thing together. 12 years staying at it. He stood in front of the wall in Washington, D.C., and he promised all 58,479 names that he would see this project through. And this weekend it gets dedicated.
That's tremendous, yeah.
So if you're in the area, the event starts at 1:30. I would say get there plenty early. They're asking you to go in where Logos School is, and they'll direct you for parking in that area.
Okay.
But there is room for special needs and things like that. But this is going to be a big event. This is a replica where the grass comes up. You don't see the wall from the outside.
Right. I've driven by it.
Yeah.
I was trying to point it out to Pam. She was going, where? Right there on the other side of the berm.
You can't see it. The only thing that gives it away is the flagpole sticking up there.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's this weekend. And of course, out at the National Cemetery in Eagle Point, we have those events going on out there. So this is really amazing. And I just want to say to Ron and all the people that worked behind the scenes on this, thank you. And when you see all those 58,000 names, you're going to go in, next to a name, you're going to see a dot. And that dot means that person died over there. And then if you see like a cross or a plus, that person is missing in action. There's 8 women's names on that wall.
Yeah.
And those were the nurses that attended the servicemen and died there in action. So it was a very, very difficult time in our American history. I remember it well.
Yeah.
And for those who were in high school, coming out, going into college and getting drafted and all that, that was all during that time. But let me just say this. If you're in the area, I would imagine vets are going to come from all around to this deal. It's big. And I want to say to Ron and crew, thank you. And also to a very benevolent supporter of the Dove, helped us sponsor one of the only 8 benches that are there. There'll be 4 on each side of the flagpole, and the Dove is the sponsor of one of those benches.
Yep, and you know, we do this for all service people who have served to the Armed Forces of the United States, but especially to Vietnam vets. Thank you for your sacrifice and service.
Amen. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street on this Friday morning. Thank you, Preston from Smart Lawn. And he's a smart guy, and he has a smart product. Okay, the Dow's up 300 points.
Whoa.
There you go. The Nasdaq's up 79, and the S&P up 33.5. So good green numbers on this Friday going into Memorial Day. That's good. Look at that. The Dow's back over 50,000. Gold's down a little bit, 4,506. Silver's down to 76. And crude oil, it is down.
Yeah, right.
It was 108.
104.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel poor.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so we've been talking about drones in Cuba. They got all these drones.
Yeah.
What did we hear? 30 or something like that? What?
300.
I take it back. 300.
Yeah.
Where do they come from?
I have no idea.
What are they going to do with them?
I don't know.
What are they capable of doing with them?
Take pictures of the shoreline.
I don't know. I don't know. And here's something I missed, so I'm going to read every word so we get this right.
Yeah.
But in this clip of Lindsey Graham, Newsmax's Rob Finnerty referred to him as Mr. Let's Go to War. And he cited an Axios report stating a possible drone strike on Florida by Cuba, which Finnerty says he doesn't believe. And this is a false flag and an excuse to attack Cuba. Representative James Comer responds to Finnerty's analysis.
You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered.
Well, I know that I've been one of the biggest critics of our intelligence community over the past 10 years.
Right.
They're usually wrong. They usually do everything they can to get us to the point of warfare because that's what they like to do, apparently. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody right now supports an invasion of Cuba or anything else. We're hoping that this can turn diplomatically, again, with the age of Castro and with the economic conditions the worst they've ever been in Cuba. I think now's a prime time for a strong president to go in and try to change that country and hopefully get it done. He's made some great progress in other countries like Venezuela in his administration dating back to the first term. He has credibility on the international stage. So I'm hoping for the best, but I don't want to see boots on the ground. I don't want to see missiles fired. I don't want to see any of that, but hopefully we can do it diplomatically.
All right, so do you think in a country like Cuba, which isn't very big,
yeah,
I think you can fly across it in an ultralight in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, you probably can.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know where Castro is.
I would think so, yeah. Yes, I think so, yes. And so the big question is, and he mentioned Venezuela.
Yeah.
So when you hear Venezuela, you think Maduro. You think of that operation and we know that Raul Castro has an indictment against him for murder.
Okay.
Yes.
So we don't send in the military, we send in the police.
Okay, yeah, but the police look a lot like the military. Yes.
So do these SWAT teams that are out here.
Absolutely, yes.
You go over here to Jackson County Sheriff's Department and pull out the SWAT team, and they look like the military.
For a reason.
For a reason.
Yes, yes.
Right, so you send the SWAT team in there in 57 Chevys, and you get them. And you haul them over to the airport and fly them home.
Here's the answer to all Cuba diplomacy right here.
Yeah, there.
Go get them.
57 Chevy.
57.
With the big fins where you flip them open, the gas thing's in the inside of the fin. Remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
All right, we'll be right back.
Oh, man.
We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538. Over time, every wall tells a story, but sometimes those stories need a fresh start. At Chris Silva Painting, we specialize in transforming indoor spaces, whether it's your family home or your business workspace. With premium paints, flexible scheduling, and expert attention to detail, we make the process simple and stress-free so you can focus on what matters most, living and working in a space you love. From bold new colors to subtle tones of sophistication, let Chris Silva Painting bring your vision to life, one wall at a time. Chris Chris and his crew are courteous. They're efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960. 541-890-3960.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Another attempt on President Trump's life over the weekend. I think they hate this man so much that at any cost, at any excuse, any way, they want him gone. I think the real reason here is that he's taken 60 years of the slow evolution of the democratic stronghold in America with corruption and fraud and the advancement of socialism and turned it upside down.
Wake up to information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays.
Okay, welcome back. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days to get here. Going into the long Memorial Day weekend. That is what's behind us here. A little shot of Arlington Cemetery. If you've never been there, you need to go there. If you've never visited the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, you need to do that.
Boy,
yes. It's just an amazing thing. Anyway, in Miami, Cuban Americans took to the streets chanting Libertia. There's a Libertia. No, Liberta. There it is. Liberta.
Liberty.
Liberta.
Yeah.
Liberta.
Yeah.
Better known as freedom.
Oh.
Okay. After the U.S. government charged Cuban president, former Cuban president Castro with murder.
Oh.
So apparently there's a huge Cuban constituency in Miami.
Yep.
Big.
Yes. Big. Very, very.
Okay. And they want the country free. So anyway, let's check in with CBN News for the latest on that one.
A U.S. aircraft carrier is parked off the coast of Cuba. Yesterday, the Justice Department indicted former President Raul Castro for the murder of 3 Americans.
It's the latest move in the United States pressure campaign against the communist government. George Thomas reports on the growing calls for change inside Cuba.
In Miami, Cuban Americans took to the streets chanting freedom after the U.S. government accused former Cuban President Raul Castro of murder.
Today, the Cuban people are finally getting their justice. They're going to bring him over and try him as the murderer he is.
A Florida grand jury indicted Raul Castro, the brother of longtime dictator Fidel Castro, and 5 others for their alleged role in the 1996 shootdown of 2 planes carrying humanitarian aid. 4 people died, including 3 Americans. Castro, now 94, was Cuba's defense minister at the time.
For the first time in nearly 70 years, senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charged in this country, in the United States of America, for acts of violence resulting in the deaths of American citizens.
President Trump has threatened military action against Cuba after U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, a longtime ally of Havana.
We have Cuba on our mind, very important. Been a lot of problems for a lot of years, and this was I think it was a very big moment.
The USS Nimitz strike group is now off Cuba's coast, raising questions about whether U.S. troops could go in and take him by force.
The message is for the Castro family. Understand this well, that your days are over.
Cuba's leaders are said to be preparing for a military confrontation. Axios reports they've obtained more than 300 military drones and discussed possible attacks on Guantanamo Bay, military vessels, and targets in Key West. On Wednesday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged Cubans to reject communist rule and embrace a new relationship with the United States.
Pero el presidente Trump ofrece una nueva vía entre Estados Unidos y una nueva Cuba. Una nueva Cuba donde pueda quejarse de un sistema que falla sin temor a ir a la cárcel o ser forzado a irse de su isla. Y una nueva Cuba donde tengan la oportunidad real de elegir a quienes gobiernan su país y votar para reemplazarlos si no están haciendo un buen trabajo.
The developments come days after CIA Director John Ratcliffe reportedly met with Raul Castro's grandson in Havana, saying the U.S. was open to talks if Cuba makes major changes.
We want freedom for Cuba, but what we don't want is a negotiated freedom that leaves much of the brutal regime intact.
Meanwhile, a new report from the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom criticizes Cuba for decades-long violations of religious liberty. Experts say a regime change would be monumental. And what could that mean for the issue of religious freedom today on the island?
It's freedom. They'll be able to go back to practicing their faith that they've had. This is a very faithful people and faith-oriented people. They haven't been able to practice that. They can pursue their faith again.
George Thomas, CBN News.
The things I never thought I'd see. It would be wonderful if Cuba were finally away from that dictatorship and they could have the freedom that you and I enjoy. That's a definite dream, and I know the entire Cuban community here in America shares that and is looking forward to it.
Yep.
Well, look,
amazing.
I think something's brewing there.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
So, do we get him?
I think they're going to get him. Yeah.
I mean, it's not as if, where does he go? Wherever he goes, he faces water.
Right. And you know what? It's interesting. They talked about his grandsons, and you think, you know what? This is a family affair, isn't it? It's like organized crime. You know, we're the family, and you're the heir apparent. Yeah. And it's interesting how this works.
Younger generations, high probability they've been on the internet.
Oh, that's interesting.
They see a real world out there.
Oh. Well, that could be.
Do they turn the old man in? What do they do? Or does somebody fly in the middle of the night and get him?
I think you can see an operation like we saw in Venezuela.
Okay, but does somebody else fly in and get him? Does Russia send somebody in to get him?
Oh, to rescue him?
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be.
But if he goes, one way or the other. Then
yeah.
But I think that Cuba is just a pawn for somebody,
Yeah, it has been, and we know that in the past it was a pawn for the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Do you expect China to get involved?
Well, China is smarter than that.
Yeah, I would think so, but they are.
Arrogantly, they could.
Yeah, I mean, because at least Russia, they're not the Soviet Union anymore. They're not an established communist dictatorship, but China still is, like Cuba.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's a guy that they're still trying to catch up with.
A look at our forecast from Grange Co-op. With high pressure keeping things clear and warm across our region, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, full sunshine with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley from Salem through Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s with a calm wind becoming north 5 to 9 miles per hour this morning. Sunshine across central Oregon with temperatures moving into the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and near 78 for Sun River. And sunshine continues over into Boise, Idaho with a high near 81 and low near 50. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny, breezy in upper 60s in Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy from Port Orford through Brookings and Crescent City, California with highs in the mid to upper 60s. Continuing to warm up in southern Oregon with sunshine in upper 80s in Grants Pass, near 90 in Medford and mid 80s around Ashland. Sunny across the Klamath Basin with highs in the low 80s. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the upper 80s for Wairika. Sunny and hot moving south with highs in the upper 90s for Redding and Chico, but patchy fog over in Fort Bragg, then sunny in upper 50s. In the Bay Area, patchy fog in Santa Rosa and Napa, then clearing to sunny in upper 70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 64. And today in San Jose, sunny in 83. Across Central California, sunny skies with daytime highs near 93 in Sacramento and mid-90s. From Stockton through Modesto, Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield, with lows in the mid-50s to low 60s. It's a snapshot of your Friday weather from Grange Co-op.
Oh yeah, it's May 22nd, and we look all the way back to 1965 as an impossible-to-pronounce song from a new movie floated onto the music charts, and it went all the way to number 66. From the movie Mary Poppins, the song Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, performed by Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, became one of the most famous movie songs of all time, despite many radio DJs needing practice just to say the title.
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And although the song peaked at number 66 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, it did much better on the adult contemporary charts, reaching number 14. And is not only the longest one-word song title to make the song charts, it's also the longest one-word song title, period. The movie itself became a Disney classic, winning 5 Academy Awards and turning Julie Andrews into an international star in her very first film role. And more than 60 years later, kids and plenty of adults still proudly try to sing the whole thing without getting tongue-tied.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
when the movies were wholesome.
Absolutely. Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke. In fact, I didn't realize it was her first movie role.
I didn't either.
She went from zero to international star in one film. Whoa. Expialidocious.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, the first hour we gave you the first set of names that Jesus had that Anne Graham Lotz was going through.
Yeah.
Here's the rest of the names that she has for Christ.
And so E.F., he's a friend of sinners. Aren't we thankful? We can be the friend of God. Oh, my goodness. He is God. And H, I forget the alphabet, G. H, he is holy. He is high and lifted up. He is our hiding place, our refuge from the storm. I, he's the I am, not the I was or I will be. He's eternally the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is Jesus. He is the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. He's the Messiah. He's the Nazarene. Think of him in Nazareth. Amen. Living in Nazareth, placing himself under the authority of people that weren't as smart as he was. I don't know if God has you in a place like that, but you're working for somebody that is not as capable as you are. He would understand that. He knows what it's like to meet a job quota. He was a Nazarene. He's the Omega. He'll have the last word. He's the Prince of Peace. He's the Quickener. He renews us, restores us on the inside. He's the Redeemer. He can redeem us from anything and everything. He's our Savior. He's our Shepherd. He's the truth. And people say, you have your truth, and you have your truth, and you have... Well, Jesus said, I am the truth, right there. So... the you, I don't have a name for you, but undefiled, unprecedented, unequaled, V, he's the victor one day. He will have the victory, and we know the end of the story, don't we? He wins in the end. And W, he's the wisdom of God. If you need wisdom for a decision, you need counsel for what you're going through, you just lean on him. And XYZ, he's exalted to sit at the right hand of the Father, where he put all authority under his feet. Speak the names of Jesus. Call on his names. I love that song. There's power in the name of Jesus. Yes, there is.
Amen. That was fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You can see the stars align, but I know that it's more than time. And I believe it goes just happen like that, happen like that, happen like that.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Another attempt on President Trump's life over the weekend. I think they hate this man so much that at any cost, at any excuse, any way, they want him gone. I think the real reason here is that he's taken 60 years of the slow evolution of the democratic stronghold in America with corruption and fraud and the advancement of socialism and turned it upside down.
Wake up to information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays. Jerry's Historical Archives. U.S. History. Great moments in time. Record breakers. Our music through the years. Historic leaders. Moments to remember. Go back in time. Back in the day. TV shows of the past. Nostalgia.
It's a wonderful trip down memory lane with fun and interesting stories you might not know about. Relive the past and learn something new.
Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove.
Welcome back. 13 minutes before the hour. I had Alan Parker on the other day of Focus Today. Alan is the gentleman, he's an attorney, that represented Norma McCarvey, who was the Roe in the Roe versus Wade.
Right.
And as you know, since then, she's become a Christian. She was baptized, and she's been quite the evangelist and quite the pro-life.
Very pro-life, yes.
Anyway, in his arguments and continuing his arguments is two places in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment, deals with the right to life.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that term used also in the Declaration. Here's the deal. Nowhere in any of our founding documents do you find a right to abortion.
And somehow the left tries to shove that down our throat, that somehow this is a constitutional right
It's
and
not.
protected, right?
So it got overturned.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing is Christians went back to sleep, thinking, oh, it's all over.
Yeah.
Here comes the abortion pill. The abortion pill is the most horrifying thing ever allowed to happen. And then they didn't police it because they're allowed. It's really mail order.
Yeah, and it is
across the states and everything else.
It's the method of choice these days.
And it is horrifying.
Yeah.
And women are now absolutely. We had post-abortion syndrome. Now we got a whole new level of it because the abortion takes place in the woman's house.
Yes, yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be over graphic here, but folks, that's the reality of this thing. And it's very bad.
Yeah.
And so he talks about, because he has represented a lot of women that have been damaged by the pill and almost irreversibly damaged by the pill, and talks about the Constitution being a right to life document. Here's Alan Parker.
Right now, we actually represent thousands of women who've been hurt by abortion. In this abortion pill case before the Supreme Court, which they've temporarily allowed the abortion pill distribution to continue, but they're going to hear that case again in 6 to 9 months. It's going to get there in the regular procession. Right now, it's at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. There'll be a decision on the merits there. Then the loser will appeal to the Supreme Court. So it'll be about 6 to 9 months at the earliest before the case considers this again. And we're making this argument in that case. We're going to be making it in several other cases. It's hard to predict which case will actually get there. When the court's ready, they'll take it. That's why it's important for all of us to begin to proclaim this doctrine and these life clauses everywhere, to your church, your neighborhood. Pastors should be proclaiming this. This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. That's where this right to life came from. And that's why they put it into the Constitution later. But it's right there in all three founding documents of the American Constitution, the two amendments, the 5th and the 14th. You or any member of this audience can become an ambassador of this. And if you want to sign the declaration of this declaration of life in the current Constitution, in honor of this 250th anniversary, we've called it a declaration, like the Declaration of Independence. When the case gets there at the Supreme Court, we'll put your name in our briefs. In the Dobb case, we represented over 2,000 women hurt by abortion, and we put in the names of 539,108 signers of the moral outcry petition to reverse Roe v. Wade.
All right, so the battle is going on. We need to stay vigilant and understand where the battle is lying now. So it's really on your computer.
Yeah.
And you can get it mail order. I mean, no questions asked.
Right.
This is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we'll stay in the fight and do the best that we can. So coming up, do you believe in the flood?
Do I? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you be a Christian and not believe in the flood?
No.
Okay. Some think they can.
How?
Well, we'll let John figure that. He can answer that question.
Is there such a thing as the inerrant word of God?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does it say in that word that there was a flood?
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back to vanilla pudding or whatever we have today.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, when looking at culinary things, here's an interesting one. As one restaurant owner is bringing back a taste of the past and hoping it helps families reconnect with the present. At several remodeled Pizza Hut locations, customers are finding glowing red lamps, checkered tablecloths, tabletop arcade games, and those famous oversized red plastic cups that made Pizza Hut feel like a Friday night event back in the 80s and 90s. The retro makeover is the idea of restaurant owner Tim Sparks, who says the goal is about more than nostalgia. He hopes families will put down their phones, sit together, and actually talk over pizza again. And it seems to be working. Sparks says people are driving hours just to relive those childhood memories, complete with Pac-Man in the corner and the classic Pizza Hut atmosphere many thought was gone forever. He admits finding original decorations hasn't been easy, especially the iconic hanging lamps, but for Sparks, if restoring a little pizza nostalgia helps bring families closer together, it's worth every slice. How about that? Stealing a play out of the Coca-Cola marketing book and bringing it. They even had it on the sign, Pizza Hut Classic, like good old Coke Classic. And by the way, I was just studying that Coke Classic move. Remember, they came out with the new Coke?
Right.
It was such a dismal failure. In 79 days, they had to pull it. They had to change and say, we're bringing back the old Coke. Wow. And then they called it Coke Classic. And it turned in from a marketing disaster to a marketing coup. Yeah. And the head of marketing for Coca-Cola came out and commented on it. They said, this was like brilliant. And they said, well, first of all, you know, we've been said we were called stupid and we've been called brilliant. He said, we aren't that stupid and we aren't that brilliant. Implying that it was all an accident. Well, but I don't know.
Well, I think, you know, the other day, in fact, it was yesterday.
What?
I don't know. I came across doing things. And a guy took an old Texaco gas station.
Okay.
It was totally abandoned.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cleaned it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Put the original Texaco pumps back in.
Really?
But where the gas station was, he turned that into an old-fashioned cafe, kind of like Punky's.
Oh, yeah.
With the checkered tablecloth and everything.
Okay.
Okay. To bring back that nostalgic feel and era.
Yeah.
And I think people would like to see, well, Punky's is an amazing success story here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you go back in and you think you went in there and sat down in the 50s.
Yep. And what they serve is just as good.
You know what all the waitresses and waiters have on the back of their T-shirt? Eat more pie.
Eat more. Words of wisdom.
Yeah, words of wisdom. But anyway, so Pizza Hut, I wonder, are they doing well? Or?
I don't know. That's a great question. And if you're inside the Pizza Hut family, because franchises have rules. You know,
isn't Pizza Hut part of Colonel Sanders? Aren't they?
It may be. You know, everything's conglomerates these days. Yeah. You know, they keep buying each other. But still, inside of those, they have to have the freedom to be able to make some of their own decisions. I remember I used to go to a Dairy Queen in Myrtle Creek. And I loved it because they went out and picked their own blackberries and they made blackberry sauce out of it for their sundaes. Wow. And guess what? I came in one day and I ordered it and they gave me this canned syrup on top. I said, wait a minute, what happened to your homemade blackberry sauce? And they said, Dairy Queen made us stop, or as they said, they would pull our franchise.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well,
So you look at Pizza Hut, you know.
Well, if you ever go back and read the playbook on McDonald's, you'll know why that's the way it is.
So,
It's the way we do business, just the way.
and you know why it is? Because when
Brand protection.
and it's also consistency in product. So if we order a hamburger in Medford, Oregon, and we go in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're going to be the same hamburger.
The best sign is at a Dairy Queen the day after New Year's.
What?
Marquee says, "Here to help you to break your New Year's resolution for 45 years."
Well said. Yeah.
All right, take with you Isaiah 7:14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. That's one of the names that Ann Graham Lott shared with us today.
All right, yeah.
Be careful out there. Have a great weekend.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage, advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon. The Dove is shining with a brand new show, Season to Shine.
I'm Melinda Robertson, host of Season to Shine, a new heartfelt, inspiring program for women designed to bring encouragement, wisdom, and hope into your everyday life. We'll help you discover God's purpose in every season, empowering you to shine with confidence, faith, and joy. It's your season to shine. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 4 p.m. on the Dove TV. More at thedove.us.
Loneliness can feel heavy, even in a crowded room. But you're not truly alone. God is there with you, and He sees you. He's near, and He cares about every detail of your life. So take a quiet moment today and lean into His presence and feel His peace, His comfort, His nearness, and know that He loves you and that you're not forgotten.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Rafael and the North Bay. Seen on KQSL 17 and these Dove TV affiliates.
To Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, along with my sidekick, John Mittendorf, who's kind of our resident, we'll call him the resident, apologetic researcher, nice, cool dude. And he does it all. And we're talking about a series that we've been involved in for quite some time. Do you really believe Scripture? Mm-hmm. And I often say, John, you heard me say it all the time, do you know what you believe? Do you know why you believe it? And can you gracefully defend it? Right. So that's what these series are about. John does have a website. It's called creationtruth.info. And all of these talks that we have with John are on there, and they're absolutely free downloads, including the notes. By the way, this particular series, not only dealing with Do You Believe in Scripture, but in particular, Noah's Ark and the global flood. This is part 4.
Or 5 or 6, somewhere in there, yeah.
64 pages and all the footnotes, so you can search it out. And it's free. So if you want to take this up for yourself or a Bible study, it's all there. Just go to creationtruth.info. All right, so we're dealing with the flood. It's still one of the most controversial stories in the Bible.
Boy.
Continues to be. Sometimes they think they found Noah's Ark, sometimes they don't.
Right.
But why is this so controversial?
It's so controversial because on one side you have the Bible, which is the inerrant Word of God.
Right.
And do you really believe what God says?
Yeah.
But then on the other side you have modern science.
Yeah.
And of course modern science, going back to what you said, can you really defend what you believe? You know, that's 1 Peter 3:15. Always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason. But then when you look at modern science, particularly when it comes to the ark and the flood and geology in general, here's a good one from UCLA Center Digital Humanities. Simply put, there's not enough water in the Earth's atmospheric system to even come close to covering all of the Earth's land masses. And you know, from scientific perspective, and even from a Christian perspective, you've got to say, you know, there's really some good questions that are asked about the flood. Okay, Mount Everest is 29,000 feet high. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Bible says that all the high mountains, all the high hills were covered. So where'd all the water come from to cover up 29,000 feet? Okay, and then you have Noah's Ark. Okay, here's a boat that's 450 feet long. You mean to tell me that basically the animals, all of the animals were on the ark for well over a year, and they all walked off the ark, and then what we see today is a result of that, and the boat was 450 feet long. You can't build a wooden boat that, and the questions just go on, and a lot of the questions are really good questions.
Yeah, they're very good.
Very good. But the one thing that I really want to focus on today, Perry, and this is one that I've struggled with a lot until recently. And science does have, from my perspective, a very, very good side to it. In that, when I go through and I research all the scientific stuff that we've talked about on the program, one thing that's impressed me is that the discoveries that science keeps making year after year after year always, not sometimes, always point back to the completeness and the accuracy of the Bible. Mm-hmm. And a classic example is this one right here. And going back to that UCLA Center Digital Humanities, simply put, there's not enough water in the Earth's atmosphere system to even come close, blah, 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 blah. That is a false statement. Totally false. But yet, here's an education person from UCLA that says, hey, trust me, there's not enough water around to cover Mount Everest as an example. Yes, there is. There's plenty of water. So basically, it all goes back to a very, very simple phrase in Genesis 7. Now, let me read it, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk about it, okay? This is Genesis 7, starting in verse 11. And I know this is something that the people who are watching or listening to the program have heard many, many times before. And that's one of the problems is if we see something we don't really understand, and we're not PhDs in geology, we just skip over it.
Yeah.
Right? I'll catch it tomorrow. So
we're C students.
Yeah. Here we go. D+. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst open, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. And the rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The flood engulfed the earth for 40 days. As the waters increased, they lifted the ark and raised it above the earth. The waters completely overwhelmed the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the waters. The waters completely inundated the earth, so that even all the high mountains and the entire sky were covered. How many times have you heard that before?
Well, I think you hear it, but you hear it in passing.
You do. And the reason why, you know, good point, Perry.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because you've got to be a geological genius to explain that, really,
right.
You know. But you'd be amazed at how much good stuff is in that. In fact, one of the questions that you'll hear on the flood is, well, the flood was a local flood. It wasn't a worldwide flood. Right. And all you got to do is read this. The waters completely overwhelmed the earth, and the waters completely inundated the earth. Any question to whether that was a local or a global flood?
Okay, and those who try to make it local said it was primarily to that valley in that area.
Mesopotamian Valley, right, yeah.
So they're translating earth into local.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So if you're just going to flood the Mesopotamian Valley, how do you kill all of oxygen-breathing animals and humans on the earth then?
Yeah.
Unless they all lived in the Mesopotamian Valley, which they didn't. But the phrase that I want to focus on is this one right here at the beginning. On that day, and here we go, all the fountains of the great deep burst open, and the floodgates of the heavens were open. There is a numerical order in that phraseology. What came first?
The ones from the bottom.
The ones from the bottom, the fountains of the great deep came first, and then the floodgates of the heavens were open. That's number 2. And that tells you right there basically where the majority of the water for the flood came from. Not from the rain, which most people tend to focus on. Well, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. How could that flood the entire earth? It didn't have to, because it was the fountains of the great deep. But what we don't see, and when you research that, all the fountains of the great deep burst open, you come to find out that that phrase, the great deep burst open, was responsible for all of the high mountains we have today. Mount Everest, as a classic example, did not exist before the flood. The continents before the flood were a single continent.
Okay.
Today, when you look at a map, there's multiple continents. That phrase was also responsible for all of the water. That phrase was also responsible for flooding the continents. That phrase was also responsible for the destruction of the then earth when the fountains of the deep broke up. That basically is the flood wrapped up in a nutshell right there. So the key then is, what does the fountains of the great deep breaking up mean?
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit, because that suggests a lot of energy.
Oh boy, you're right. So I'll tell you what, let's start out, and what I want to do is I want to build a geological case. I'm not going to get technical before we lead into what really happened. And I think when people see what really happened based on a foundation of what we're talking about geologically, this will all become a lot simpler. Let me start off with 4 basic questions. How could 40 days of rain flood the entire earth? That's a common question.
Well, if you just think of even the worst of rain patterns,
right,
it's still impossible.
It's still impossible, right. All the fountains of the great deep burst open. That was number 1. Number 2 came the rain. So the fountains of the great deep, as we're going to see, have a lot to do with the rain that was falling.
Okay, because that created the humidity.
Okay, yeah, we're going to get to that.
Okay, meteorologically.
Okay. Question number 2.
Yeah.
Was the flood local or global? We just covered that a little bit.
Yeah.
According to Scripture,
it's global.
It was global. In fact, if I read 2 Peter 3, 5-6 correctly, which says, by which the world that then existed perished, being flooded with water. 2 Peter tells us that the world before the flood perished, gone, destroyed. Global. That's global. That's not the Mesopotamian Valley. Question number 3. Was there enough water to cover all the high mountains? And that's a good question.
It's a good question, but it goes back to my earlier question, is the energy of the deep coming up, would that push things up and break things up?
You know, I'm going to sit here and let you keep going. Excellent. No, excellent. You are absolutely right.
Because it's like a volcano.
Correct.
When a volcano takes off, it pushes things up and does this.
Yeah.
Right? So that water had to come with some force of energy.
Oh, did it ever? Yeah. In fact, we're going to get to that in just a minute. So, was there enough water to cover all the high mountains? The current water, and this is why that question is so popular. There's enough water on the earth today in our oceans, rivers, and lakes, etc., to go 10,000 feet. Well, Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. So where's the water come for the extra 19,000 feet, see? And that's a good question. So the answer to that question is you don't have to have enough water to cover Mount Everest in the pre-flood topography because Mount Everest wasn't there. It's only there in the post-flood topography, which we're going to see. As I said, the breaking up of the fountains of the deep was responsible for the splitting of the continents and for forming the mountains around the world today. None of that was there before the flood. It's really interesting when you get into it. In fact, a lot of elements of geology today believe that the pre-flood Earth, without the high mountains, consisted of three areas: shallow seas, lowland areas, and upland areas. The Earth before the flood was totally different than what we see today. We're just used to taking today, 2026, and moving it back to when the Earth was created.
Yeah.
And that's not correct. Not correct.
Okay.
So the answer to that question is, was there enough water to cover all the high mountains? There was before the flood. And believe it or not, there's still enough water inside the Earth today to easily cover Mount Everest, which we're going to get into, and why that's true. Okay?
Wow. All right. Let me take a break here. I'll take a break a little earlier, because when you get into this, because when you start looking at water coming up from beneath, I mean, isn't it interesting? We drill wells to find water.
Yes.
Are there layers of water?
Yes. Aquifers.
Okay. So, like, if I'm drilling 400 feet to find water for a well, that's one layer.
Correct. Or it could be at 200 feet, or
right.
it could be at 1,000 feet. It all depends. It just depends on the rock strata.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a rock strata break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Jerry's Historical Archives. U.S. history. Great moments in time. Record breakers. Our music through the years. Historic leaders. Moments to remember. Go back in time. Back in the day. TV shows of the past. Nostalgia.
It's a wonderful trip down memory lane with fun and interesting stories you might not know about. Relive the past and learn something new.
Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove.
Welcome back. John Mittendorf with us, researcher, apologist. CreationTruth.info is his website. This is where you can go and get all of the notes that we have talked about on all these various topics through the years. And this one here on Noah's flood and ark is 64 pages with the footnotes, so you can cross-reference his references. So, and he makes that available to you absolutely free. So you can print these out. You remember tying your boat up in Idaho? Remember that little thing that we had going around here?
Yeah.
That we're on the Great Fault Line.
Right.
Okay, and that if the big one came, that you may want to tie your boat up in Idaho.
We were in deep trouble, right? So yeah, we fall off into the ocean.
Yeah. All right. So we're talking about where did the water come to flood the whole earth, and you're reading that scripture where it talks about the deep and from the air. Okay. So, but it starts with the deep, so it suggests that the eruption within the earth bringing the water up was first.
Correct. Absolutely correct, Perry. In fact, let's start from the beginning, Genesis 1:2. Okay?
That's a nice place.
And, and let me see if I can build a little foundation. Genesis 1:2. Now the earth was without shape and empty, and darkness was over the face of the watery deep, but the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the water. So originally the earth was all water. Okay? Then we go to Genesis 1:9. God said, "Let the waters," plural, "under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground," singular, "appear." It was so. So we have a ball of water, and then God made the earth, dry earth, appear. Waters, plural, earth, singular.
So let's camp out there just for a moment. A couple things here. The whole earth is water.
The whole earth is water.
God's Spirit is
circling, hovering over it, watching it, brooding over it.
Okay, so first of all, you need to understand the power of that.
Correct.
That's the Creator Himself.
That's the Creator Himself.
So did He push the water down to bring the land up?
Don't know. He just
you're supposed to know that,
He
John.
just, let me go back. Check that out. You know, we're talking about the Creator. One of the most interesting statements I heard, and I don't know if it was Swindoll or who, he said, you know, when Jesus was on the boat on Galilee and He was asleep and the disciples are all excited because the winds are blowing and the boat's going to sink, and Jesus wakes up and He says, "Be still."
Yeah.
He said, that's the second time that nature heard His voice. What was the first time? When He created it.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome, right?
Wow.
And here's the disciples. So what's the deal here?
What's the thought here?
Yeah.
Boy, are we minimizing God's power?
Yeah, that's the second time that the wind and the rain, basically the universe heard His voice. What was the first time? Creation. Okay, so basically what we have today is God caused the dry ground to appear out of all the water. So today the earth is 71% water, what we see on the top, okay, and 29% is dry land. Let me have figure A, please. So let's take a little look at the earth and how the earth is constructed. If you take a little pie slice out of the earth, what we have is the crust. That's what we live on, which is 3 to 43 miles thick. Then if you go down 1,800 miles, you have the mantle, which is more of a plastic. It's not as solid as the crust is. And then when you get down to the bottom, which is about 2,000 miles, we have the outer and the inner core of the earth. And scientists feel that the inner core is liquid nickel, and that's where the magnetism of the earth comes from. So basically, where I'm going with this is we're just going to focus on the crust, which is, I'm going to say, the top 3 to 43 miles, the top part of the earth that we live on, okay? Now, is there a source of water other than what we see on the surface of the crust, which are the oceans, lakes, rivers, and so on? And the answer now, according to science, is absolutely. One of the prolific chemicals in the earth, and probably the most prolific, is silica. And silica is basically sand. And it's silicon and oxygen. Silica reacts with liquid hydrogen. And when you have heat and pressure, you get water. Okay? Liquid water. So science today is starting to realize that it's very possible that water is still being made and stored deep within the mantle, which is the area right below the crust of the earth. And it's released by volcanoes, volcanism. Now here's the kicker, Perry. 250 miles inside the earth, they feel that there's enough water to replace the surface oceans 10 times over.
250 miles down from the surface.
250 miles down from the surface, there's enough water to replace the oceans 10 times over, or 10 times more water than there is in the oceans.
Wow.
Okay? And the oceans right now is capable of giving you a water depth of 10,000 feet on the earth. Now, how do we know that?
I've got to write a note down here because I've got to ask you a question. Go ahead.
Okay, because universities in Ireland, Saskatchewan, Glasgow, Tokyo, Northwestern, which is one of our universities, and the British Geological Survey are currently doing studies on that. And they're saying, yeah, that's very, very possible. In fact, the takeaway from Northwestern University in Illinois is this. The big take-home message is that the water cycle on Earth is bigger than we ever thought, extending into the deep mantle.
Okay, so I guess my question here is, where does the heat come from a volcano, and would that be a factor in evaporating that water?
It comes from magma. The deeper you go in the earth, the hotter it gets.
Right.
If you look at mines where they're mining salt and other things, the further down they go, they can only go to where the temperature is 140, 150 degrees. The further they go, the hotter it gets. So the miners at those depths are only capable of being down there for 10 or 15 minutes, and they've got to come up, and they keep switching crews, because the deeper you go in the earth, the hotter and hotter it gets. Of course, you get down to the core, now we're talking about 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so if the water's at 250 miles down, what's the temperature of that water?
I'll talk about that next program.
Okay, but I mean, water exists within that heat.
Yes.
I guess that's where I'm drawing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that if I said 1,700 degrees, Fahrenheit, I don't think I'm far off.
Okay.
Okay.
So does it cool as it comes up?
Yes, but when magma comes up, it's still in a liquid form. So we're talking enough heat to melt rock and turn it into a liquid form substance.
Yeah. Wow. Creation being what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Now I'm going to throw out a couple more terms and let me define them. It's not difficult. Plate tectonics. We know today that the crust, remember that was 3 to 43 miles, is basically constructed of a mosaic of rigid plates. And there's seven major plates. Pacific plate is one of them, one of the major plates. The interactions or the movements between those plates is called plate tectonics. And they'll move anywhere from 1/2 inch to 6 inches a year. And that's where we get earthquakes from,
okay.
and so on and so on. Okay, no big deal. In fact, back in 2013, the Russian Kamchatka Peninsula had a major earthquake which was measured, the velocity rupture energy, at 9,000 miles an hour. So we're talking something way, way above us as far as power and size when you start talking about plate tectonics and the movement of crustal plates in the earth. Okay?
Wow.
Now, we have catastrophic plate tectonics. And catastrophic plate tectonics is when the plates are moving much, much more than just a couple inches per year. In other words, they really start to move and really start to destroy things. And catastrophic plate tectonics is what provided the working mechanism and the energy for the flood. Let me talk about figure B just for a second. So if you can bring up figure B. This is a drawing basically of the side of the earth, and we have the ocean on the left, and of course the ocean comes up, let's say, to the continental shelf, so we have land. The land mass is going to be a lighter weight than the mass underneath the ocean, just because the ocean is colder and it's denser, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Plate tectonics is when one plate, it's called subduction, when one plate goes underneath another one. You with me on that one so far?
I'm watching you.
Okay. So, catastrophic plate tectonics is when a plate started to go underneath another plate and started to run away. And as it got deeper and deeper, it started going faster and faster. And that's called catastrophic plate tectonics. When you look at words and how they're used, when we go through the flood mechanism, we come up with 3 words. We have catastrophic, and what we're doing is we're talking about catastrophic plate tectonics. If I look at Genesis 7:11, it says, all the fountains of the great deep burst open. What is the definition of burst? All the fountains of the deep suddenly came apart violently. Mm-hmm. This is not a local, slow, easy flood. This is going to be a catastrophic event. Then we have destroyed. Back into 2 Peter 3. Destroyed when it was deluged with water, comes right out of 2 Peter. What's the definition of destroyed? Useless fragments, demolish, annihilate. Okay? So rather than a steady rising of floodwaters, we're going to be talking about extreme destruction of pre-flood topography and the building of mountains and the separation of the continents because of the catastrophic plate tectonics.
Okay, so what forces the water up?
I'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
Good question, by the way. So, before we get into that, let me give you one major consideration. The Creator holds all things together. Okay, we can find that in Hebrews 1:3. That means when we apply that to the flood, He started it, He watched over it, and He ended it. He's in total control of it, right? Okay. So when we talk about catastrophic plate tectonics, as one plate starts to go under another, which God started, and He didn't start it until He closed the door on the ark. That's when the flood started. That's how you know God is running the show on this particular. I mean, the flood could have started any time that Noah was building the ark. Nope. The flood started when the ark was completed and God shut the door. So how did He start it? Let's bring up photo B again, please.
Photo B.
That one right there. And basically what you have is all around the world, there's a rift where the water comes up to the continental shelves. The rift splits open. You have one plate in the ocean starting to dive underneath the continental shelves because the continental crust is going to be lighter. The ocean basin is going to be heavier. The heavier goes underneath the lighter, and as the heavier plate starts to dive down towards the center of the earth, it's going to also let magma come up and form a new ocean basin, which is also lighter because it's hot. And of course, hot is less dense than something that's cold, correct? As the magma is coming up and expanding, as the plate is going down, what is that doing to the water in the ocean? It's pushing it up. As it pushes it up over the continental landmass. And there is your mechanism for taking the water in the oceans or in the earth if necessary and pushing it over the continents. And as that process continued, it's called runaway subduction, it got worse and worse. It continued to push up and up and up and force more and more water over the continents.
Okay, there's one quick question here before we take a break.
Okay.
So Noah was on the ark about a year.
Right.
All of this didn't start until the door closed.
Right.
This is catastrophic movement.
Correct.
In a short amount of time. I wonder how noisy that thing was.
Not only was it noisy, but when you stop and think that this process is catastrophic enough to split the continents and force up mountains such as Mount Everest or the Himalayas. The Himalayas are close to 29,000 feet. If you were still alive on the continents, it must have been a ride.
Boy, I was going to say so.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, all right, let me take a break here. All of this is in 64 pages of notes with all of the illustrations, and it's pretty fascinating. You're not going to get this research free anywhere else, but they're at creationtruth.info. And you can go to the Dove website. We have a link to that as well. But get a copy of it, share it, and read it yourself. Maybe you want to talk about this in your Sunday school class. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Being in business is challenging. At Network in Action Southern Oregon, we're all about real connection and real growth. We value your time with once-a-month meetings and believe in transformational relationships rather than transactional ones. We have 3 groups in the Valley, a Christian group, a Medford group, and a Grants Pass group, all filled with amazing local professionals. Network in Action Southern Oregon, so much more than just networking. Find out more at sonetworking.com.
I'm Susanna, and I contracted KA Designs to do custom cabinets throughout my house.
we chose a really beautiful maple wood that really creates like a nice airy space. Everything was custom, and it was really cool because I got to literally see it come to life in person. We love to entertain, and we have a large family, so it just, everything came together perfectly, exactly what I wanted. I highly suggest KA Designs if you're looking to design your dream house. Go check them out in their showroom. You will not be disappointed.
The Dove TV, encouraging and informative for the Fresno Visalia area on new full-power KEDZ TV, seen on cable, satellite TV, and over the air. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative for the Fresno Visalia area on new full-power KEDZ TV.
Welcome back. John Bittendorf. We're talking about do you really believe Scripture, and in particular, do you really believe the story of Noah and the ark and the flood? He has 64 pages of notes here, and that whole file is a download for you. You can go to creationtruth.info, and you can download the notes on this discussion and all the ones that we've had in the past. We're talking about where did all the water come from, you know? And if you live in the desert, keep drilling. Eventually,
keep drilling.
But
keep squeezing.
For those of us who live on wells, it's very precious.
Yeah, keep squeezing the silicone to make your own water.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we here?
Okay, so how do we know then that the denser oceanic crustal plates slid under the less dense continental plates and actually slid down in a catastrophic manner? And I thought you'd never ask me that question. And this goes back to science. The last 20 years, they have developed seismic tomography. And seismic tomography, and this is what I mean when you study this stuff, and then science comes along with stuff like this, that they can actually, seismic tomography is like giving the Earth an X-ray. They can actually look down the Earth and see what's down there. So when they did a seismic type tomography on the Pacific coast, what do you think they found? They found a piece of oceanic crust 62 miles thick that had sunk 1,800 miles crust to base of the mantle.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which also points the finger at a young Earth instead of an old Earth, because if the base of the mantle where this is 7,000 degrees, it should have melted and gone away millions or billions of years ago. If it happened thousands of years ago, it should still be there, and it's still there. Okay? So, let me bring up a renowned geologist who's published in the secular field, Andrew Snelling. Dr. Andrew Snelling, and he's going to explain from his perspective what we just talked about as far as this catastrophic plate tectonics.
So we're saying that at the beginning of the flood, we're going to break open the ocean floor, the fountains of the great deep. So it's like the seam of a baseball. You know how you've got all the stitching on a baseball or cracks? We're going to have 70,000 miles of volcanoes suddenly exploding. And molten material coming up that's going to raise the ocean floor. You're going to have the steam jets come out because of the release of fluids from inside the Earth. Those steam jets are going to take some of the ocean water and take it up into the atmosphere where it's going to drop. And the Bible talks about the windows of heaven opening, and it was torrential rainfall for 40 days and 40 nights. So the picture, it does explain that imagery that's described in the Bible. But it does more than that. Because one of the things that the conventional model doesn't come to grips with is that the fossils, many of the fossils are marine creatures, and they're found buried up on the continents. And so you've got to have a mechanism from taking creatures from the ocean floor and burying them up on the continents in rock layers. And the catastrophic plate tectonics model helps us to understand this, because you bring up this molten material, okay? Warm material is actually less dense because it expands. So if you have it happen rapidly, what's going to happen? You're going to produce all this new ocean floor very rapidly. It's going to be hot and warm, and it's going to take a while to cool, but it's going to expand. So if it expands, what's it going to do? It's going to push up the sea level. So the water is actually going to start to flood onto the continents. Add to that the earthquakes generated by the earth movements, and you're going to have tsunamis of a scale that makes the Japanese or the Sumatran tsunamis that we've seen in recent decades look very small. So you can have surges of water moving from the ocean towards the continents very rapidly, hundreds of feet high. As it gets to shallower water, it's going to pick up the marine creatures and it's going to scour the ocean bottom and it's going to carry that material up onto the continents. So immediately we have a mechanism for the rainfall, for surges of sedimentation where the sea level rises. It's going to go right across the continents and blanket the continents with these sedimentary rock layers.
Absolutely fascinating.
What do you think?
Well, it's becoming more and more clear, even scientifically, why this is all plausible, because when you have that kind of heat turning into vapor, you got water, and you got lots of it fast.
Secular science does not believe in the global flood. But when you separate what we've talked about a little bit this morning, when you separate the various elements out of that plate tectonics, catastrophic plate tectonics, the mountains being formed, the splitting of the continents, which is continental drift, they agree with all of that. The primary difference is they agree with it happening over millions and billions of years, whereas the creationists, everything happened in less than 6,000 years. That is the difference. But everything else, they'll go, yeah, we can go with that.
But there's another timeline. It's called Noah and the Ark in 1 year.
Well, exactly right. Yeah. So to summarize what Dr. Snelling just said, so when you have the denser oceanic plate butting up against the continental plate, which is lighter, and then it starts to go, you say, well, why did it start to go? Who's in charge of the flood?
Well,
God. He starts it and basically just lets it go. It starts to go and it starts to run away. As it starts to run away, you have hot magma coming up, which is forming a new ocean. This is around the complete Earth, 70,000 miles approximately. Then you have magma coming up. As magma comes up, and it comes up over more and more and more, and it tends to take the ocean water and force it up over the continents. Also, when the molten magma hits the seawater, it's basically going to explode, right?
Yeah.
So what that does is that's going to go vertical in steam and magma, which is going to take the seawater with it, which is going to fall back as rain, which is why the Bible says the fountains of the deep first and then the rain second, right?
Well, yeah. As a pilot, I have come up to thunderstorms.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're flying to them, they get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of movement. And if you're a smart guy, you won't go through it. You fly
around it.
So you ask for a vector around them, okay.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting when you witness a thunderstorm, you get this unbelievable movement of air and wind, and then next is this torrential rain.
Right.
That's the cycle of a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Now what?
Okay, now we have the water going across the continents. And you notice that Dr. Snelling was talking about as the water then is forced from the ocean onto the land, it's going to take part of the ocean basin with it, which is the fossils of your marine animals, which is why we find marine animal fossils all over the world today in the continents, even on the high mountains.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, how do scientists explain that one? Or do they even try?
They don't. Well, they tell you, yes, well, they do. They say, well, that land was under an ocean at one time. But that's as far as they go with. Okay, well, what ocean was it under? See? And then why is the mountain now 29,000 feet in the air?
Yeah.
We don't really want to talk about that a lot.
Okay.
Okay, now the big question comes up. If we have the water flooding and destroying the earth, okay, now the flood's over and the waters start to recede. According to Scripture, the waters start to recede at day 150. And the waters start to recede, and then God causes the wind to go over the earth, and then Noah sends the birds out, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, the big question comes up, okay, John, where'd the water go?
Where'd the water go, John?
I don't know. Here we go. Here we go. And I'm going to read Psalm 104, 6 through 9, and then we'll dig into it. The watery deep, which is the same phrase as found in Genesis 1:2, okay, covered it like a garment. The waters reached above the mountains. Where have you heard that one before? Okay. Verse 7. Your shout made the waters retreat. At the sound of your thunderous voices, they hurried off. Verse 8, as the mountains rose up, as the valleys went down to the place you appointed for them. Who's running the show?
God is.
God is. Verse 9, you set up a boundary for them. And what did God promise Noah when Noah walked off the earth? Walked off the ark? I will never flood the earth again. Okay? You set up a boundary for them that they would not cross. You're talking about the water here. Not cross so that they would not cover the earth again. So, we have all this hot magma in the ocean basin. It's hot. It's rising because it's hot and it's expanding. Now as it's in the ocean water, which is cooler, colder, the magma starts to solidify. As it starts to solidify, what does it do?
Pull in the water with it.
It shrinks down, forms a new ocean basin, which we know today. By the way, when did we have more than a working idea of what really comprises the ocean basins? And the answer to that question is right after World War II, 1945, because of submarines.
Oh, okay.
Before that, they really didn't have a working knowledge of the ocean basin. Today we do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so as the water comes off of the continental shelves back into the ocean basin, so the next time you go to the ocean and you look at the ocean, you're looking at part of the water that flooded the earth. Okay?
Okay, I got to take a break here, but I'll leave you with a question.
Okay.
That as violent as the movement was coming up, equal violent movement for it going down.
Correct, and that's why we have the Grand Canyon.
Okay, that's where I was going. Let me take a quick break. CreationTruth.info. Get the notes, 64 pages of it, with the footnotes. John's home phone number, I'll give it to you later.
Okay.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Something has happened to our country here where we're glorifying assassinations and killings and killing babies, and we're glorifying taking God's creation and turning it upside down and throwing it on its head where a boy can become a girl and a girl become a boy. I mean, the whole thing. At what point are you going to wake up and realize that we are fighting something that's spiritual?
News with a little bit of common sense. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. In a time when our culture faces unprecedented challenges.
I want to talk about the role of a Christian even in a hostile culture.
Christian apologist and evangelist Alex McFarland addresses the hard-hitting questions about faith, morality, and culture.
People are hungry for truth, and we've got to rise to the challenge of our assignment as the church.
Know your faith better to be equipped to defend it in a world searching for answers.
But when you put the face of an earthly man on God, then you're never going to understand who God is.
God takes pleasure in you, and the very sight of you is joy and blessing.
Alex McFarland, inspiring believers through apologetics to boldly stand for truth in a critical time. Catch him Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative. More at thedove.us.
Okay, welcome back. John Mittendorf's with us, chief researcher and apologist. He's also got creationtruth.info, where you can get the notes to everything we're talking about. We've been doing a series called Do You Really Believe Scripture? And in particular, now we're zeroing in on the flood and the ark, and now where the water came from, and now the flood has occurred, and all of a sudden the water goes away.
Right.
Where does the water go?
With that, let's bring Dr. Snelling back and have him summarize what we just talked about the waters coming off the continents and going back into the newly formed ocean basins. Video 3, please.
Once you get rid of the old ocean floor and you've got all this new warm ocean floor, it's going to start to cool. Initially it expanded and raised sea level, is going to start to cool, and when it starts to cool to form the new ocean basins, it's going to sink. So the water is going to slosh back off the continents back into the ocean basins, and as it does, what's it going to do? It's going to erode. We can see vast areas around the Grand Canyon that have been eroded off. Steve Austin talked about the Grand Staircase. It's a remnant of what was left of the rocks that weren't scoured away. So once the water comes off in the sheet erosion, as the flow decreases, it's going to move down towards more channelized flow. It's going to pick weaker points where it's going to erode in, and it's going to start to make the river valleys. So many of the canyons that we see on the Earth's surface and river valleys were carved out as a result of that receding waters phase of the flood, where the water was draining off. The sediments, of course, were washed out around the edges of the continents, while we have all the sediments today on the continental shelves, so we get oil and natural gas as a result in those sediments. And it's the same in the Grand Canyon as anywhere else. You look down at the Colorado River, it's a fraction of the scale of the canyon. Many river valleys, you've only got a tiny trickle, if you're looking at the big scale, and you see this vast valley. And the idea that slow and gradual erosion over millions of years carved out these valleys is just nonsense.
Wow. So let me ask you this, one other question that's kind of popped up here. Where does the salt come from for salt water?
Science today believes that the salt for the salt water, and we don't really know what the water in the original creation was. It might have been salt, it could have been fresh, but science today believes the salt water came from the water eroding off the continents and bringing minerals with it, and that's where the salt came from.
So, because we can go out here and find salt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if that...
Sodium chloride is very common.
All right, so if it comes out, that's bringing salt with it, and that gets into the ocean, obviously, and then fresh water is returned by rain.
Correct, yeah. Okay. And then when the water evaporates, then it takes the salt out, basically, and you just wind up with the fresh water from the clouds when it rains. So, yeah. So let me finish up and talk about, now that we've talked about the flood, Noah's Ark, and what have you, what can we apply from all of that?
Well, the power of God, you better think about that.
Yeah, I've got 5 points.
If the Spirit of the Lord hovered over all this and started it and finished it, oh my stars, how powerful is God?
Here we go. Noah was a man of faith, Hebrews 11:7. If we have faith in God, we please God. Only one door into the ark. Only Jesus is the door to salvation. One way, no other way. Noah was safe in the ark. Jesus will keep us safe in eternity. That's Romans 8:39. Noah obeyed God, Genesis 6:22. Jesus said that if we love Him, we obey His commandments. We will obey His commandments. And lastly, God wants to save us, John 3:16. For God so loved the world.
What a beautiful parallel.
Yeah, and then you're absolutely right, Perry. The power of God, when you talk about, a lot of geologists feel that when the flood started, the earth was really self-destructing. And it went to a certain point when God said, that's it, stop it. And then He brought it back. And so you have to look at most mountain ranges are on the coast. Isn't that interesting? That when you talk about catastrophic plate tectonics to a degree that you can split the continents as we know them today, and then you form mountains, it's called uplift, that when the continents push into each other like this, and they, in fact, let me have the guys in the booth real quick, if I can have picture, let me see if I can get this right, D, please, and I'm shooting from memory. Here we go right here. That's the Himalayan mountains, and those are the Eurasian plate, and what the other plate is that science today will agree that when those two plates came together, that formed the Himalayan mountains, and the Himalayan mountains are a major mountain range on the earth today. But when you stop and think about catastrophic plate tectonics being forceful enough to cause enough movement to split the continents, how far is it from here to England, as an example, if you go from the East Coast over to Europe? I mean, thousands of miles, right? And then to take the land and push it up 29,000 feet, you're talking about something that we have no concept of the power and the destructive capability of plate tectonics.
Hence earthquakes, I guess, is this probably the closest we get to it, earthquakes and volcanoes?
Yeah. Have you ever been through a good earthquake?
Yes.
It's
scary.
It's mind-altering.
No, it's scary because you have no control.
Right, and it's exactly right. You have no control, and you feel like, when's it going to stop? And the earth is moving, and the water in swimming pools is sloshing out. And really, those are just small earthquakes. I mean, they go for maybe 30, 40 seconds, and so. But we're talking here, splitting continents and forming mountains, and I think.
That leaves you with the question: how violent was the ride inside the ark?
I've thought about that, and I don't have an answer for that, because Scripture also says that God remembered the ark.
So He must have kept it in calm waters or something.
So, well, if you take that to its logical ending, there was also no reproduction on the ark.
Interesting.
You also have to think about, if you have approximately 1,800, maybe 2,000 animals on the ark, what was the air like inside the ark? We talked about that before, about the natural ventilation, but still it didn't smell like Chanel No. 5
No.
in there, So.
No, I don't think so.
So God was probably doing a little bit of homework, because basically the future of the earth, mankind, and animals and everything was riding on that ark. And if something was to happen to it, that would have been it.
Just some closing one-liners here. Is more and more people becoming convinced of the Grand Canyon being an indicator of the flood?
Yes, to the point that the Grand Canyon bookstore is also selling a creationist book on what we've talked about, that has a lot of what we talked about in it, on the formation of the Grand Canyon. It's based on the global flood.
Okay, so that is major, because heretofore that wasn't the case.
Oh, you wouldn't have got that book anywhere near that bookstore. And if you stop and think about what Dr. Snelling was talking about, when the flood came across the continents, and of course it brought thousands of feet of sedimentary layers across the earth, which we know are there. And then when the waters retreated back into the ocean basins, it just scoured the top off. If you've ever been through Utah, as an example, and seen some of the spires out in the desert and has the little rock sitting on top, you go, how'd that ever happen? If you look at it from the perspective of the flood, it's easily answered. The water came through, and it took the softer stuff and left the harder stuff.
Do we have any idea what time of year this started? Because if you got the magnetic pull down at the bottom,
right,
and the moon plays a part of this,
yep.
When in your distance from the sun and the moon, you kind of wonder, do we have any idea when all this started, did that play a role?
It does, and it says in Genesis when it did. I just don't remember exactly. It gives you the day and the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't remember what it is.
Okay. That's kind of interesting.
It is. So
the seasons weren't altered then.
Scientists think that we really didn't have seasons before the flood, or if we did, they were very, very mild. Once you had the flood, now you brought in the seasons.
Okay, so you went from perfection to...
Mm-hmm. Correct. A lot has changed, pre-flood, post-flood. We tend to take post-flood and put it back to pre-flood.
Yeah.
Two different concepts, two different trains of thought.
Yeah. Well, what did you learn from this? What did it do to you? I mean, you're the researcher here.
What you learn from it is God is in control. God made it. He controls it, and He'll destroy it when He's ready. And the other thing that is, as I mentioned when we started, that impressed me as science, I'm going to say, as much concern as I've put on modern science, and I think it's well deserved, that the evidence stares them in the face and they refuse to believe it. That scientific discoveries 100% continually point to the Bible and the accuracy of the Bible. Seismic tomography as a prime example. Okay, so John, you're telling me we had catastrophic plate tectonics. How do you know that? They know by seismic tomography, right? Right now there's a piece of the shelf sitting down there that's 62 miles thick, and it's still sitting there. The old ocean basin, still sitting there. And so when you look at a lot of the discoveries that science has made, archaeology, we've done programs for archaeology. Archaeology down the road 100% keeps pointing back to the Bible. I mean, how long did they laugh about David never being a real person? All of a sudden they find a stele that has David name on it. Oh, I guess David really was David.
Yeah.
You know? So what do they do with that? They just don't talk about it anymore.
Well, there you go. They just conveniently move on.
And the other thing I learned, it's nice to talk about and research the truth.
Yeah. Creation Truth is
Creation Truth.
That's the website, creationtruth.info, where you can go and get the notes here. Do you really believe in Scripture? And this section that we're talking about deals with Noah's Ark and the global flood. You know, as you process this, and I hope you do, get the notes, study it for yourself, look at it a little bit more. It does lead you back to something else you and I have covered in the past, and we need to do it again in the future, is how they move these big stones around for the pyramids.
Why don't we do that next program? In fact, I've been working on it a little bit, and that's something that science, for all of the good that science does, for all the discoveries that science has made, they are still totally inept to determine or describe how the Egyptians worked with granite and how a worldwide technology, and it's worldwide, was able to move stones that we could only think about today and did it easily.
And cut them.
And cut them to tolerances that we don't maintain today.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It's more than fascinating. So what happened to that technology?
Well, to your other point, were humans smarter then than we are today?
How was that?
Was that? Oh, that's post-flood. So okay.
Yep. Well, pre-flood, Adam was created perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not Adam, are we?
We're
descent.
We're a descent, but things have changed. There's pre-flood, post-flood.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure.
All right, creationtruth.info. That's the place to go to get all these notes. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases,